Hello and welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today we are going to be playing a little bit more Speed Duel, even though we are in kind of a rush mood, because obviously the new Rush Box and character have been announced, but unfortunately they're not actually out yet, right? We have access to basically 3 new cards. We can't do a lot with 3 new cards. I'm not going to try and learn the 3 new card meta that's going to exist for 2 days. So we're going to push back doing all the rush stuff till Friday, which is going to be our new stream day. We're going to stream on Friday this week instead of Thursday. And instead today, we are just going to focus on the FLUFFAL. That is the plan. Tomato, are you going to be able to help me build a Royal Rebels deck from the first 2 Royal Rebels that we're getting? I don't know the correct ratios. Hurry up and wait. Well, as we've just found out, no. I do not see much of a point. But I have already started seeing a lot of people theory crafting what decks might look like with the new Royal Rebels cards. And I don't know. It looks okay. It's not looking crazy, but I think going into this, we already knew it wasn't going to be. The problem Royal Rebels has right now is that they only really have the one boss monster, which I suppose is there to incentivize you to play more of the 5s and 6s, rather than trying to cheat out your 5s and 6s, like using Palace Gargoyle or using the skill. So, I mean, on the plus side, by not bringing Invasion, that does mean, I think Shout, was it Shout? That's Growl. Growl does stick out a lot more as being a more interesting monster. Ancient Arise, best deck. Yeah, Arise Dragon, I actually do think that deck is going to be really good. It's a weird one because it doesn't have the consistency that Bunker Strike has. But it does have the benefit of playing a 3000 attack monster. That monster can play around all of the new combat traps very well, except for Widespread Ruin, but I mean, nothing really plays around Widespread Ruin. On top of that, being able to easily summon out monsters that can get to that 26 and 28 is going to be very good. Unfortunately, again, 26 and 28 do not play around the barrier. So, if the barrier does end up being very, very good, that is going to mean the Ancient Arise deck might... Because on one hand, Ancient Arise Dragon itself plays around it, but on the other hand, the 2 mini dragons do not, the 2 level 6s. How's it going? Doing pretty good, Staced. How are you doing? Straced. And thanks for the follow. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to playing Rush on Friday. I don't know what deck I want to try first. It's got to be Royal Rebels, right? But the thing is, everyone's going to be on Rebels, so it might be worth swapping it up and doing something else. I think Ancient Arise and Royal Rebels are going to be the 2 most popular decks. Now, will they be the strongest decks? I hope so. I think it'd be really cool to see Royal Rebels be top tier for a bit. The skill making it more consistent as well. Yes. If you're going second especially, because Royal Rebels don't really want to go first. Like, your turn 1 board is like, make a 2500 dude that doesn't do anything pass. And it's like, what does that do? If you go second, you get to basically completely capitalize off of heavy metal if your opponent played a monster face up. As well as, if you use your skill, you can send a heavy metal to grave, which means you can then get that back with Rocker. So like it kind of sets it up rather than losing a card, because you don't really want to lose a card. I know a lot of people say in Rush Duels, card advantage doesn't matter because you're always drawing to 5. But card advantage really does matter. In the future, when we get a lot more access to draw power, the ability to just have more cards and make more plays really, really does add up and lets you do like really disgusting things. One of the best decks at the moment is Reptiles, and that deck basically works off of out-advantaging your opponent, drawing just a ton of cards, being able to swarm the board with 3 high-level monsters, or at least 2 high-level monsters, and just more access to more cards is always good. I really want to try Psychics with a bunch of traps. It's a weird one. Psychics already have a trap, right? And that trap is fine, but that trap on its own isn't enough. I think the other problem Psychics is always going to have... Well, I suppose at least they have higher than 21, right? Because they have 2200 as their weakest boss monster, and a 23, and they're getting a 24. Which means with combat traps, you will be able to take out 2500s. But we might see a switch where people are playing stronger cards. Now, if people are still playing Dragonic Resonance, those monsters still tend to cap out at 28, which means if you -4 to 28, they now crash with 24s, which is okay for Guitarist, but you don't really want to be crashing. You want to be beating over them. So it's a weird system where you're going to want to have 2500 attack monsters still on your opponent's turn, because then your opponent needs a 3000 to clear it and a 29 to crash. But a lot of the monsters that we're seeing a lot of play are these 2300s or just lower attack monsters that can boost themselves well over that number. So it's an interesting kind of system that we've got going at the moment. I think Psychics, the new skill, might be pretty good. I hope they are. I really hope they are. Psychics can run like 3 barrier, 3 of the Psychic, severing Psychic wall. So that's... The Psychic is -500. Yeah. Well, yeah, there you go. Then the -500 on the 24, so on the Guitarist, will be perfect, right? Because that means you'll be able to clear over the 28s. All of the dragons, except for Ancient Arise itself, do cap out at that 28. So the Severing Psychic Wall Trap will be really good into that. But the barrier, not so much. I wish we had gotten more field spells. I mean, we still got time, right? We still have the Beast Gear world to come. Now, that has to come soon, right? We can't put it off forever, because that's the issue. The longer we leave bringing support for some of the weaker decks, the worse those decks are going to feel when they eventually do come out. Because a lot of those decks were kind of playable at release, and then hard fell off after that. It was like, this is the strongest they will get, and they will not get much stronger than this without, like, another massive wave of support. Like, Dinosaurs is another really good one that I'm really looking forward to playing. I do love the Dinosaurs, but they're the strongest during their first wave, and then when they get their fusion and maximum stuff, they get like an extra little stint in viability. But if they were to release as they did in physical, which was just give us Super King Rex and just some generic vanillas, Super King Rex is just a 2500 that can bring back a body. And the biggest body we had available when it initially came out was Megazowler, which is just an 1800 vanilla. Now that in itself is not a fantastic strategy, right? Just summon 2500 guy, resurrect 1800 guy is okay, but it's not attacking twice. It's not doing any of the other unfair shit that a lot of these other cards get to do. And I feel like the longer we wait to bring out cards like that, the harder it's going to be for them to actually be playable. It's like, what's he called? Is it Samagellon? Whatever the shark thing we have at the moment is just like dead on arrival. And I feel like the longer we wait to bring out a lot of these other cards, the more dead on arrival they're going to be, unless they give us super broken skills. Now, what they could do with Dinosaurs is literally give us the Speed Duel skill, Dinosaur Kingdom, and just let us have Jurassic World on the field. Because Jurassic World is a card that Dinosaurs get in their, I want to say, their second wave of support. So if we get that, now having access to a 2800 boss monster that brings back a 2100 is a lot more appealing than a 25 with an 18. Beast can take advantage of Forest, but the Beast monsters suck. Yes. There isn't really much more to add to that. I think you've pretty much summed that up, Waltz. But yeah, Beast monsters at the moment are looking a little bit rough. The problem is, Beasts never get great. For the longest time, all of the Beast monsters, like the boss monsters, have high defense and really low attack, making them basically unplayable. So like, a pure Beast deck is kind of really, really bad. Until we get to Go Rush, then we get a 2500 vanilla, which gives them something to do, right? Because they actually have an attacking monster now. And then a little bit after that, they got I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the Mammoth card. And then they got a legend monster in Baphomet, the King of Mythical Beasts. Is that what it's called? Baphomet? Behemoth? I think it's Behemoth, the King of Mythical Beasts. It's like the one which is, it's like a 2000 attack monster if you tribute out with one monster, but it's like a 28 if you tribute out with two. But then, you know, those were fine, but then you'd give up your legend monster slot for that, so... Another interesting thing is, we are still not 100%. I think we're like 99% we're using the old legend rule, and not the new legend rule. And the old legend rule is you can have one legend in your deck, full stop. So if we have that rule, we'll have to swap around, like people have to like summon Skull out of their deck to have Widespread Ruin. I assume that's what we're going with, because when you read the tooltip in-game, that is what it makes it sound like. So I'm going to assume we're using that until we get the cards on whatever day the bundle comes out. I assume the bundle will come out on Friday as well. And then we'll be able to like play with them, test it out, try and put them in the deck, see what happens. But again, as for right now, I'm assuming we are going to be using the old legend rule. No. Roa has multiple legends. Ah, okay. Okay. So that if that's the case, then that means every deck's just going to be on Summon Skull, Widespread, and Monster Reincarnation. Just like straight up. Assuming that's not just NPCs cheating, because we know that NPCs are allowed to cheat sometimes. New legend rule for sure. Okay, if we're sure about that, then that makes deck building very interesting, because most people are already on Summon Skull. Widespread is going to be a mandatory include in just every deck. Monster Reincarnation is the kind of outlier here, but Monster Reincarnation is a weird one, right? Because Monster Reincarnation is best used to put cards in the hand that you want to be using their like summon effects, like when this card's normal summon. So things like our Royal Rebel Heavy Metal, obviously that will get its effect. Maximums, when they come out, obviously very good with that. The issue Monster Reincarnation always has is that you have to discard a card. So I think the best way to use Reincarnation is going to be to like just set it on the field and then use it on a following turn, which then flips us back to, are we still going to be in a very monster heavy meta? Because a lot of the time, you don't want to be bricking on spell traps and not being able to like summon as many monsters as you want. And with the 6,000 life points, I think people have also kind of clocked that, oh, we can end games a lot quicker, so having more monsters is just generally going to be better. Now, obviously, we're hoping that combat tracks kind of help to stem this a bit, but we'll have to actually wait and see until we actually get our hands on them. Because it's all well and good to like speculate and like say, oh, well, this is how it's like in the physical. But 2,000 less life points does matter. Like, Dragius, as we've seen, can just OTK people. So, obviously you need, like, 2 Dragius, but still. The tooltip game says you can have one of Legend of each type. Oh, okay. I was looking at it, because I was talking to one of my friends before, and they were looking at it, and they were like, oh yeah, it looks like it's going to be the old Legend rule. So I was like, oh, okay, it's probably going to be that then. But if it's the new Legend rule, that's going to be very, very interesting. The only issue with that is that basically makes deck building a little bit boring, right? Because now, every time you build a deck, you'll immediately start with Widespread Ruin. Because what reason would you have not to play Widespread Ruin? I mean, it's the problem you're always going to have with Legends, period, but trap cards especially. The number of good Legend traps is very, very slim. I wouldn't be surprised if Widespread Ruin was a staple include in every deck for the next 6 months, maybe. Because, I mean, what are they going to release? Maybe Trap Hole and maybe Sakuretsu Armor? I personally think Sakuretsu Armor power creeps Widespread Ruin. Then, obviously, Mirror Force after that, but I don't think they'll release Mirror Force anytime soon. I think we're going to be waiting a very, very long time for that. Wondering how many spell traps you can afford to run with a smaller deck, because you need a certain number of low-level monsters and tributes. If you include too many, you'll brick. Yeah, I'm thinking 7. I think 7 feels right. Because if you think about it like this, without access to the spell cards, because in Modern Rush, people have started including more and more spell cards. And that is because we have access to Legend Strike, which effectively is another summon, right? Because Legend Strike special summons a monster. So because of that, people count Legend Strike as just another monster slot. So that's why they've gone up to 15, but usually 12 would be about right. Now, obviously, if we're taking off a quarter, then we take off a quarter of those 12, we'd be looking at 9. But 9 feels too much, in my opinion, at the moment. I think 8 would be the upper limit I would go, but I'm thinking 7 feels a lot more comfortable. If your deck doesn't need the spell traps, though, again, like Gran Harry said, I think go as low as like 4. But I think 4 is probably the minimum I go with, just because the barrier, I think, is going to be that good. But I'm wondering if, again, if the inclusion of the barrier, and if barrier becomes like meta because it hurts a lot of decks, means that we'll see a lot more spellcasters and a lot more dragons, or specifically Ancient Arise Dragon, because, again, those cards can play around it quite a lot. And to a certain extent, you know, Noodle Ninja, but I don't think Noodle Ninja's going to suddenly become powerful just because they got a couple of new vanillas and 1 spell card. Although, it would be really lovely if they did. I would love it if Noodle Ninjas suddenly rose to popularity and became a really strong deck, just for the single reason that they can sometimes play around the new combat traps. A deck I'm also very interested to try is going to be the new Warrior deck. Just having access to the new Piercer, we've got the new combat trap specifically for Warriors that can pop back row, which might be very, very good if people are starting to run back row. Barrier will trade somewhere, level 4s, if not SRM. It will never be worthless. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I need to pull 3 Ancient Arise for the new deck, right? I mean, if you want it to be maxed potential, yeah. So what was it? It was Piercing Samurai. We're getting the Combat Trap, which is Battle Ruler's Strike, whatever it's called. Again, it has multiple different names depending on who you ask. And then the new Fairy monster is going to be pretty good. The one that can pay 500 life points to change a monster's battle position. And that's like having like another celerity. So very control-y, it's looking like. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. We'll have to wait until we actually, again, get our hands in it and really start molding, but I'm really looking forward to just getting my hands on these cards and trying them all out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in here that was like super crazy. Like the whole bender break stuff. I'll give it a go, right? I'm happy to try it out, but I have no expectations for that deck. I really think this deck needed a much better skill to make me think, oh wow, yeah, this is going to be really good. I don't even know what kind of skill they could have. They needed, like, a skill as warping as, like, 7XL Road. Something that really made them stand out and really made them strong. Like, getting your Bender Break up 400 attack, up to 23. Like, what does that do? What is, like, 23 gives you a maybe chance to attack over a 7's Road Magician. Or a Prima Katana. But it doesn't play around any of the combat traps. I don't know. It just feels really weak. Like, maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Like, maybe there's a way that you could OTK your opponent by using Bender Break. Like, get your Dragius out if you're not using the skill. Reduce the attack of one of your opponent's monsters to 0. Get in for 25 direct. And then maybe another 25 direct with another Dragius hit. Then there's Beast Summoner, which is pretty good for the old... what's it called? Vault Condor. I think that will be worth giving a go. Red Eyes? Red Eyes is a weird one. I think there is potential for there to be kind of a rogue Red Eyes deck, but I'm not expecting it to be very, very strong. That's kind of where I'm at with it. It's another weird one, because a lot of the decks we've been getting support for are decks that have just gotten support in Modern as well. Like, Red Eyes has just got a ton of support in the Modern game. So it's very interesting how we keep seeing these overlaps, and I assume that is intentional. Try and breed interest from one to the other. Yeah, there's not much else going on. I mean, there's the beast stuff, like Paku Pakuchu is great. I love Paku Pakuchu, right? It's one of my favorite cards. It used to be called Pack Rat. Let me bring this up over here, actually. If I do this... Oh, God. Let's do that, and then... this? No, that's not going to work. Let's do... Alright, we'll do this into this. There we go. And then we will... oh, God. That'll do. Yeah, so here's the new cards. And again, there is like some interesting stuff in here. Paku Pakuchu. I mean, who doesn't love Paku Pakuchu? I'm not sold on Archfiend summoning Flute as well. I think using Flute to get a Kecleus is cute. It's a little gimmick. I don't think it's going to be particularly good. And then using Flute to get back the other Legend monsters. Again, like, do we care about bringing back a Dark Magician in defense mode? I mean, what does having a Dark Magician on the field in defense mode do? Like, turns on Dark Magic attack? bringing back a Summon Skull on defense, it's just going to get killed. Flute would be better when we get no wave. Yes. But then no wave still doesn't do a ton until we get the other Royal Rebel boss monsters, right? You're going to want the ones which need you to tribute 2 high-level monsters to make good use of that. The skill can switch the battle position. Yes, being able to change a monster to defense is fine. But, like, why would you take that? Like, if you're playing this in Royal Rebels, why would you take that over the Royal Rebel skill, which increases your level? And if you're playing in a Legend deck like Dark Magician or Summon Skull, why would you play this over using, like, the Dark Magician skill? Will Rower deck be good? It's a little bit too early to tell. I think it will be playable. I'm hoping it's probably going to sit around tier 2 is where I'm seeing this, but that might be a bit biased. Like, this might end up being like a mid-tier 3 deck. We'll have to wait and see till we actually get our hands on it. Strength, obviously 2500 attack monsters are always good. No, I mean change your Summon Skull you bring back to attack, or did I misread it? I mean, we can have a gander. I mean, I might have misread it myself. Let's have a look. So, Tempest, Black Dragon. I can't remember what it's called. Not that one. Not that one. Where is it? Am I blind? I might be blind. Not that one. Here we go. Change the battle position of one face-up monster on your field and one face-up monster on your opponent's field. Then send one level 1 or 6 Fiend-type monster with 1600 or less attack from your deck to the graveyard. So we'd have to summon out Archfiend summoning Flute, send it to the graveyard, special summon the normal monster, then change the battle position of our normal monster into attack mode and one of our opponent's monsters to defense. Then we have to send a level 1 or 6 Fiend-type monster with 1600 less attack from our deck to the graveyard. No, yeah, you are right. So you could, yeah, bring back your, like, Dark Magician or whatever, but you have to have level 1s and 6 Fiend monsters in the deck. So it's a mandatory effect. So you won't be able to resolve this effect unless you already have a level 1 or 6 Fiend-type monster with 1600 less attack. So it's like either you're playing Dark Magician in like a weird Fiend deck, or... And again, I don't see why you do that, because you'd rather use Dark Magician skill. Or you're using this just with Summon Skull, which I guess is fine. But at which point, I still think I'd rather just use Royal Rebels Heavy Drive. I'm looking at the boss monster's effect. Considering I'm rushed or the opponent always has out a boss monster, the effect would be nice. So the main problem with Royal Rebel Heavy Metal's effect is that your opponent can just summon another monster, right? So if they have their Dragius, and then they have like a Dragorite next to it, you're going to be popping the Dragorite. Now, you will be gaining the 1500 attack from popping the Dragorite, but you don't get like massive value off of that. You still get to clear the board, but it's not like, oh, I get to pop your boss monster and I go up to 5000 attack. That's insane, right? It's more than likely going to be, I'm going to be popping the weakest guy, because, you know, you have to target the lowest level monster. I think you can't play DM right with the skill restricts you. I think it's just for Summon Skull. The skill says... Let's have a look at it again. Yeah, no, you are right. I was watching someone's video, and they were saying about bringing back Dark Magician with it, but I can't remember like whose that was. I watched so many. But yeah, you are absolutely right. It'd have to be Summon Skull. But then, would you bother? Because, alright, the other problem this has is you have to have Summon Skull. So you'd have to summon a level 6 normal monster. That, again, because all level 4 or higher have to be Fiend, it has to be a level 6 or higher normal Fiend. Or Archfiend Flute. Then you can use the skill to send the Summon Skull to grave, but the skill is only once per duel. Oh, I don't know. It's weird. It's so weird. It's so weird. Yeah, seems like too much of a gimmick for not enough payoff. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how it feels. It just feels like they were like, oh, let's just make an extra skill so we give people something extra to unlock. And this is kind of what they ended on. I still think Heavy Drive is going to be the biggie. I think that's going to be the one that people are going to play in the Royal Rebels. Just because... So Royal Rebels Heavy Drive as well is very interesting. Because all you have to do is increase the level of a level 4 light effect monster. It doesn't have to be a fiend. Which means we can basically put other level 4 effect monsters in our deck, like Luminous Parrot, which is a winged beast, and increase its level to 5. And then if we look at Royal Rebels Heavy Metal, all it says is tributing a level 5 or higher monster. So this also doesn't say it has to be a level 5 or higher fiend, which means we could stuff our deck with parrots, boost the parrots to 5, and then tribute those to summon out Heavy Metal, just to try and get Royal Rebels Heavy Drive off more often. Which is interesting to think of at the very least. Hey, Apocalypse. It's looking very funky. I'm very much looking forward to get my hands on it though, because right now the high level monster, like, I guess what word I'm looking for, like slots, is looking like 3 Heavy Metal, 3 Rocker probably, and then 3 Growl, and then just what, 3 Gargoyle. We're looking at probably 3 Parrot, again, just to get off the drive effect. Because that's the other thing. The effect of Royal Rebels Heavy Drive only works on effect monsters, which means we can't use it with Nessus the Star Knight. So I'm wondering if there is actually a reason to include Nessus the Star Knight. Like, it's a 1500, but I think this is going to be more of a buff to aggro, right? This is a level 4 1500 attack light monster, which means Dragon Casters will probably make very good use of this. The only issue this card has with Dragon Casters is it is a fiend, which means Phantom Bind will weaken Summon Skull. That is the only downside I can see to playing this card. But this is now just another light monster they could play. Again, would they want this over... Because you don't really need another light in Dragon Casters, just because they already have Thunder the Thunder and they have Dragius. So they probably don't need just more lights. The biggest question mark for me at the moment, though, is definitely Call of the Earthbound. It's such a weird card. I am assuming this got limited 3 because of internal playtesting. I think they internally tested all these cards and went, man, Call of the Earthbound is winning a ton of games internally. Therefore, we are going to limit it so you can't play it with Heavy Metal and you can't play it with Dragius. So I'm very interested to see... Because you have to experiment with it, right? You can't not. You can't not try it out just because it's limit 3. Because I'm not going to lie, if this card wasn't limit 3, I probably wouldn't have given it the time of day. But I'm like, they know something. Konami have tested something. Oh, yeah. That's what I mean, though. We know they are testing it, but it's like, what did they discover? How did they break this card? Going to be very, very interesting. Seems terrible to me, but we'll see. Yeah, that is basically my opinion as well, Waltz. I look at this card, I go, oh, this is a bit crap. Move on, right? But then you see that limit 3. I'm like, something's going on here. It was the same with Torna, right? I don't think... If Torna wasn't limit 3, I still don't think I would have played it with Dragius. But I'm assuming that when they were testing internally, people were doing that and it was working out really well. It sucked for the first time, then they went and did it again. I mean, yeah. Way too situational. The barrier is just more reliable. Yeah, exactly. The thing with Call of the Earthbound is, this card is like, sometimes you won't die. Or sometimes you'll kill your opponent's monster. Or more than likely, sometimes you'll make your opponent crash into one of your guys, so you'll still lose your guy, but they'll lose a guy as well. The barrier oftentimes is instead... I'm going to kill your guy when you try and attack me. So that's why I much prefer the barrier, because it's just more often than not going to be more useful, right? It's just a blanket good card, as long as that 400 is a relevant number, which in most decks it should be. Again, the only things that can really outpace this is going to be Royal Rebel Heavy Metal if it gets its effect off, which it should be getting off. Ancient Arise Dragon, and Seven's Road Magician. They're the only three that I think we actually really have to worry about as being able to make their attacks so big that they don't give a crap about the barrier. The barrier can read win the game if you kill their biggest monster on their turn and you just push for lethal on your turn. Yes. I guess the thing there comes in... Attack ordering is going to be very, very important now. Because, for example, if you have your Dragius, you need to make sure that you're attacking a monster that it can clear through the barrier first. Whereas before, you didn't have to care, right? If you kill their biggest... Yeah. But that's kind of where we're at the moment. It's looking interesting, to say the least. I think the deck I'm most excited for... I mean, it's got to be Royal Rebels, right? But then I think it's got to be Ancient Arise. Ancient Arise, I really do hope that Ancient Arise becomes the new best dragon deck. Because again, I got very bored of Dragonic Resonance very, very quickly. So I'm hoping Ancient Arise becomes the new quote-unquote best dragons. The only downside... I mean, is there even a downside? Ancient Arise Dragon means... Well, alright. With Backrow becoming more prevalent, Dragonic Slayer value technically goes up. So people might want to play that. At the same time, you do get consistency through having the Bunker Strikes. So there is that as well. It's very interesting. I want to get my hands on the cards. I want to play with them. That's what I want right now. Burning Blaze and Clear Ice. I mean, everyone knows their effects are basically useless. So they're in here basically just to fulfill the effect requirement. But the... any thoughts on the new SRM spell? So... the new Seven's Road Magician spell, which is... what is it? Tempest? Is that what it's called? It's... so its cost is a little bit steep. That's my initial thoughts of it. Let me bring it up. Do we have easy access to it? Card Trader update. Yes, I do. So Road Magic Tempest. So requirement. If you have a face-up level 7 or higher spellcaster, so you have to get out Seven's Road Magician, you can send a wind action monster from your hand to the graveyard. So already, if we're playing this card from our hand the turn we draw it, we've -1 ourselves. And then we're discarding a wind monster, so we've now -2 ourselves. As well as the fact that we've had to summon out Seven's Road Magician, which chances are we've either summoned, got out Seven's Road Witch, and then we can't discard to get it out, or more likely we've just summoned, tributed both for Seven's Road Magician, which is all 5 cards in our hand. So already that's looking a bit awkward. So obviously the best way to use any spell is going to be to set it and use it on a following turn. Assuming you can do that, like what does this card get us? We can change the battle position of 3 monsters on our opponent's field. Now again, let's say we have this set. And realistically, Seven's Road Magician ain't surviving our opponent's turn. So we are going to summon, tribute for like Seven's Road Witch, let's say, discard a card to summon out the Seven's Road Magician, and then we'll activate our face down Road Magic Tempest, which is like an extra card, and discard the 5th card in our hand. At which point, we've now got 2 monsters out. We've swapped 2 of our opponent's monsters, like either to attack if they're in defense or defense if they're in attack. And we either get in for a load of damage, which is fine, or we get to kill their boss monsters, which is also fine. I don't think Tempest is going to be great as a standalone card. I think it's got too many... its requirements are too tight. Having to have a level 7 is annoying, and then having to discard a wind monster is also... It's too steep. I think it's just that's what it comes down to. Changing 3 monsters' battle positions is fine, but I don't think it's going to be great. Like I was saying in my video, I think the best way to use this is going to be by using it with the skill Tempest Drive, and then we can set it and then send it to the graveyard to use Bender Breaks effect, just to give a -1000. Because if you had a spell card that just says give your opponent -1000 attack, you'd probably play that. That's just good, right? If you just had a spell that said, yeah, your Dragius is now a 1500 attacker, that's great. Especially since when we use the skill, we set the Road Magic Tempest from our hand to our spell trap zone, and then if we set it from our hand, we can add the Wind Attribute monster from our deck to our hand, which means we're plussing by using the skill. So it's basically making the cost of Bender Break nothing, right? That's kind of how you have to look at it. So it's looking very, very interesting. But, you know, that's kind of my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on that. Other than that, the Bender Break card itself, bit mid. But I think the decks that we're definitely going to be trying out, we're definitely going to have to try out the Ancient Arise Dragon deck. We're definitely going to have to try out Bender Break at some point. Royal Rebels Heavy Metal. These are going to be the 3 big ones. Then obviously the Warriors have got a lot of stuff here. Psychics. I mean, what does generic spellcasters get out of this? Like, if you're playing pure spellcasters, like if you're playing 7's Exile Road, like, what do you get out of this? Like, the barrier becomes a lot weaker for SAR because 400 doesn't protect a lot of your monsters. Like, maybe it makes your 7's Road Magician crash, but that's kind of it. These early cards are really specific and not worth building around. Yes, I think you basically hit the nail on the head there. The problem is a lot of the cards we already have access to are very, very simple, right? Dragius, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Just get to attack twice, right? There's no, you don't have to discard a card. You don't have to jump through any hoops. It's just, yeah, get it out, top card of your deck to the graveyard, go nuts, mate. So whenever you get all these other cards which are like discard stuff and having to do all these other type of effects, it can kind of get a bit, it muddies the water a bit into what's actually worth playing. SAR gets nothing, but it plays well into the barrier. Yes, that is very true. Although the flip side to that is the non-7's Road Magician monsters don't play around it very well, right? Like if you summon out your 7's Road Witch, use the Witch effect, and use your 7's Exile Road on Witch, it only goes up to 28, which means barrier will still put it down to 24, so it can't beat over 25s. And if you use your Splat, and again boost it up and use its own effect on itself, it only goes up to 26, which means the barrier weakens it down to 22. So although the barrier doesn't work very well against 7's Road Magician, it does work against everything else. Simple is better. Exactly, Alpacalypse. That is exactly true. Do you pick a certain strong card first when you start to build a deck and then pick everything else around the card to improve it, or as frequency of use? It's kind of a little bit of everything. A lot of the time, people will latch onto a small combination of cards, like a small combo, and then build outwards from there. But because the game is so simple right now, typically people will either look at a skill or a specific card and then work outwards from that. So right now, Dragius is very, very powerful. So a lot of people go, right, Dragius, what can I put Dragius in? And then they branch out from there, and then you get different types of Dragius decks from there. Honestly, I think dragons are the winners here. I'm playing 3 Slayer in Resonance, popping all the back row people play. That is the other thing, because I think you are absolutely right? Because people are going, even if the back row doesn't stick, which I think it will, I think the barrier is good enough that people will just play this card all the time. Unless for whatever reason, like Ancient Arise or something else becomes very, very powerful. The only issue I think we might have with just trying to play 3 Slayer is if your opponent just... I guess it comes down to, will your opponent... If you don't have the ability to pop all of your opponent's back row, will you bother attacking at all? Because you can play around them by just not attacking, but defensively, Earth Dragons is quite a weak deck. You sit there with a bunch of 2300 attack monsters, but then you can obviously play your own barrier. At 23 with the barrier, you go up to 27, so you now crash to 27s, you die to 28s. How many decks can actually consistently get out 28s? One of the decks that can is the other dragon deck, ironically, being the Ancient Arise and using the skill on the Burning Blaze Dragon to get it up to 28. So that's an interesting one. I guess the other thing is always going to be that other Dragonic Resonance players can also hit that 28 quite easily. So they can kind of smash over other Dragonic Resonance players that are trying to passively play around their back row. But then if you're playing against Dragonic Resonance, unless they specifically have the Dragius, it doesn't matter because they're also going to be on 23s. So you won't have to worry about the barrier a lot of the time. It's very, like, the mind games get very, very intricate. Like, again, it's still very, very simple, right? This isn't like, we're not on like 4D chess. It was still very, very simple interactions, but you still have to think about them all. And I think in a very, very simplified format, your micro decisions a lot of the time can matter a lot more, because if you only have 3 things you can do and you do one of them wrong, you've messed up a third of your turn, right? There's something I don't get. Isn't Phantom Bind usually stronger than Barrier by turn 2? What am I missing about it? So people started playing around Phantom Bind is the main takeaway there. What people started doing was not including other monsters in their deck that could weaken their boss monsters with the with Phantom Bind. So this was specifically more true to beatdown decks and to Dragon Casters, because Dragon Casters just didn't, like, 7-0 Magician gets so big you don't care about Phantom Bind, and Dragius, you just don't play any other dragons in your deck other than Dragius. So what would happen would, people would sit there and they'd be like, I activate Dragius effect, I mill my own Dragius, and now that is the unluckiest thing I could have done, because now not only have I lost a Dragius, I've also now turned on my opponent's Phantom Bind. So now my Dragius can now be weakened down to 24, which means now I can't attack and crash into your Dragius. So, like, you get these weird little mind games. And the same thing happened with Summon Skull. People were actively trying to avoid including Fiends in their deck, so they knew their Summon Skull could never get Phantom Minded or Phantom Bound. It's intriguing how you pick a card and seem to work out all the plays you can make and all counter plays you can make. This is well, again, this version of Yu-Gi-Oh that we have now, this version of Rush. To be fair, even in the future when we get to Modern Rush, the game still never gets as complicated as, like, Master Rule TCG Yu-Gi-Oh, right? That's never going to happen realistically. But right now, this is a simple game and this is a simplified format. So because of that, we can look a lot more in-depth at the very, very minor things. Wait, I'm missing Dragon Casters. I'm a dummy. Well, yeah, the other deck that's obviously doing quite well at the moment is the Aqua Aggro, which, again, in Aqua Aggro, you do the same thing, right? You replace the Spellcasters with the Aqua stuff, and then Dean Keto becomes vulnerable to Phantom Bind, but Dragius, again, you just don't play any other dragons, so you don't have to worry about it. And that's kind of like where that is at the moment, right? So that's why Phantom Bind, I think, fell off a bit, because the only deck Phantom Bind was really working against, like, effectively, was the Dragonic Resonance. And even then, they had the ability to blow up the board and have Dragonic Slayer, so they could just pop it. So was it even doing anything there? I won't lie. What teeny bit of experience I have of making a deck was based off of card design, as in the monsters look cool. I mean, that's another thing. You don't have to play this game hyper competitively, right? People can play card games however they want. Some people just open packs. Like, Pokemon TCG is a game where more people collect than they do play. And that is completely fine, right? The thing is, sometimes people will just have boss monsters they like the look of. Like, I think Royal Rebels Heavy Metal, I think this guy looks awesome. I mean, just look at him. Look at this guy. Let's get a nice big picture of him. Look at him. I think he looks awesome. He's a punk rocker. Like, he's heavy metal. He's got the microphone in his hand. He's got these giant claws. He's got these badass wings. He's got this, like, emo haircut. Like, absolutely love it. So I think building decks around, again, stuff that I really like the look of is always going to be a bonus for me, which is why I always really like dinosaur cards. Because even though dinosaurs have never really been meta, like, they've had stints of playability, but they've never really been, like, overly strong. But I still will jam dinos every chance I get, because I just love playing them. I think another one a lot of people like is the old Ancient Arise Dragon, right? Like, it's just a cool-looking ice dragon. What's not to love? I mean, it's very simple. It's just a dragon, but it looks cool. It just also helps that some of these cards are actually pretty good as well. It's like a lot of people really like the Psychic deck, and I think part of that is going to be like the aesthetic of some of these Psychic monsters, but another big part of it is going to be the fact that Psychic has like a very interesting playstyle. A lot of the time, you feel a lot more... It feels a lot more rewarding to win with a deck that you feel takes a little bit more skill to play. And I think Psychics are kind of that. They have all of these little gimmicks and restrictions that has like, oh, you have to play around your life points. You have to pay life points. I think anyone that's ever played Magic the Gathering and played a bit of Black does know that effects that cost life points typically are a bit more obtuse. Sometimes you're not really sure how many life points you want to be paying, or how much life in Magic the Gathering's case. But it does feel very, very rewarding when you do manage to win with a deck like this, because it just feels like it has this extra dimension. Now, what a lot of TCG players will realize is that life is a resource, right? Your life points are there to be spent to help you win the game. And the only life point that really matters is your last one. As long as you have enough life points to not die, and ideally use your effects that require the costs, then you're good to go. But with that, I think we've kind of gone over all the new stuff. So shall we hop into some games? I will play any bird deck. So does that include Lightning Volt Condor? Are you going to try it out with the new Beast Summoner? Now, I don't think Beast Summoner is suddenly going to make that deck really, really strong, but I think it will help out the deck. The life point advice of it being a resource has helped me a lot. Yeah, I mean, the key things I think that basically go across all card games is advantage and life points as a resource, right? Your life as a resource is just always going to be useful, because a lot of people will like be dissuaded from using cards that like cut their life points in half. I remember when I was a kid, people used to say that Solemn Judgment was a terrible card because you lost half your life points. 4,000 life points isn't worth it to negate something. No, paying half your life points is very worth it to negate anything. It's actually a very good card. And then the other thing is always going to be advantage, right? Having more cards than your opponent is always good. Now, there are some situations where you'll lose anyway, like playing against Burn, or playing against aggro, like mono red in Magic the Gathering, or again, like Burn or hard aggro in like Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of times. But it's... having more cards generally means you're winning. Now, again, sometimes that's like a control player mentality, but especially simplified games, like, again, if you're just trying to learn any other card game like Magic the Gathering, or anything like Duel Masters, Pokemon, you know, old Yu-Gi-Oh! I think more than new Yu-Gi-Oh! But in general, having more cards means you're winning. Like, a lot of the time, someone will ask me, oh, are you winning the game? And I'll be like, yeah, I have 9 cards to my opponent's 2. And they'll be like, but you've only got 100 life points left. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, I'm still winning. Like, I've got control of this game. I have counter traps to deal with anything my opponent does. They're not going to be able to burn me down. I've got outs to everything they're going to do, so it doesn't matter. Sup, man, how's it going? I'm doing great, Bottlerworks. Oh, we were just having a lovely chat about the new cards that are coming out on Friday, which we are all very excited for. We're going to jam some rush games with them as soon as they all come out. But I think we have put off long enough. We've literally been sat here for 50 minutes since I've been here unmuted on camera. So you mean more cards for the table, not in hand or deck. So deck doesn't matter unless, again, your deck is a resource as well, right? Your deck only matters if it's got 0 cards in it, right? If you deck out and you lose the game, that is important. Other than that, the number of cards in your deck is irrelevant. What matters is the number of cards you have access to. So cards in hand and on field count as number of cards you have access to. So if I've got 5 cards in hand, 2 face downs, and 3 monsters, my advantage is 10, right? And then if you look at my opponent, and my opponent's got 1 monster in defense, 1 card in hand, they kind of have an advantage of 2. So I'm beating them by +8. I have a +8 advantage over them. Which is why people say things like, it's a plus or a minus. Because if you minus your opponent, like if I was to play a card that discarded a card from my hand and destroyed my opponent's back row, that would be a -2 to me and a -1 to my opponent. So now my 10 drops to an 8 and my opponent's 2 drops to a 1. So now my advantage has, you know, I'm now only 7 ahead, but it's worth it because my opponent now only has 1 card to work with, and what can they do with 1 card a lot of the time? Now again, that theory gets obtuse when you get into like more advanced card games like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, because 1 card combos exist now. You can pop off with very few cards, and when you have effects that resolve in the graveyard, like, I mean, the deck on screen here, the old FLUFFAL Orcus deck is a good example of this. This deck can use a lot of cards from the graveyard, so although you might have no cards in your hand or field, you can still play the game if you've got a bunch of graveyard effects that you can activate from it. There is math in TCG. Turns out, TCGs is actually mostly math. That's just kind of how they work. A lot of the time as well, you'll generally be playing around probability as well, right? It'll be, well, there's a... It's like I was playing Rush with my friend Alex, and I remember sitting there in one of our games, and I was like, all right, well, I have 3 Yami Ruler left in my deck, and I've only got 2 of the other fusion that I would need to go into. So I can take back a card from my graveyard to my hand, but if I take back the one that needs the card I only have 2 copies left in my deck, and then I draw into one of those, that's great, and that's a much more powerful position. But instead I took it, the card that benefited Yami Ruler, because there was a higher chance that I would see Yami Ruler. And then we drew Yami Ruler, summoned it, cheated out the other one, blah, 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 did the whole combo. But the point is, you know, I looked at the odds and I went for the one that was higher odds. And that's just kind of how you got to play games a lot of the time. When have you and Will... What have you and Will got into? I hate probability. Again, you don't have to play like that, right? This is like the hyper competitive mentality, right? I am the kind of person that in my youth was playing in Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, right? At like 10-year-old Matt was going to locals. He was jamming games against adults, playing across the table, having a great time. That's where a lot of my childhood friends came from, right? I met them playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I taught some of my friends Yu-Gi-Oh, and then they taught me Magic the Gathering, and that's how I got into lots of other card games and that. But like, you don't have to be doing all of this. You can just jam games for fun. I think what matters is that just everyone's having a good time. I think that's always going to be the most important part of playing any card game. It's like when we play a lot of Commander, and Commander has basically 2 formats. There's kind of generic Commander, and this is a Magic the Gathering term, by the way. There's generic Commander, which is like everyone just kind of brings a deck, everyone has a fun time, blah, blah, blah. And then there's something called CEDH, which is competitive Elder Dragon Highlander. Now, Elder Dragon Highlander is the old name for Commander, and CEDH is basically the term for saying everyone here is super tryhard, everyone's going to be very, very sweaty, and people are going to try and infinite loop their opponents out of the game. Now, I like to categorize them differently because they are 2 very different experiences. If you want to play CEDH, you know that if you're not playing super tryhard, super sweaty, you're going to have a bad time. If you just go in to play regular Commander, a lot of the time you're going to have a great time. It's there as more of a social experience to hang out. And that's why when people try to bring CEDH decks into Commander, they get shunned a little bit because it's like, well, no, this is the casual fun hangout bit, right? We don't want super sweaty, right? So it's kind of a fine balancing act of just trying to make sure everyone's having a good time. But again, I think it's not a bad thing, right? If people want to play CEDH or they want to bring a CEDH deck to a Commander game, I think at that point everyone just needs to have a conversation and be like, listen, this just isn't what we're really here for. We need to like rebalance us a little bit. Anyway, let's get a little bit off track. Shall we jump in and actually play Duel Links, right? We've had it open for an hour. We haven't actually played a single game yet. I want to jam a little bit of FLUFFAL today. So we're going to play at least a game. And again, we're going to have to fight against the timer boss because, oh god. Is this fine? I can't remember. I think the last time I played against a... God, what's this guy called? It's one of the twins. I completely forget his name. Alright, we'll start with our skill. We will simply send. Send this to grave. We will then... We always summon dog. Use the effect of dog to grab... I think here it has to be bear. Activate bear. Set the vendor. Activate vendor. Send Heart Horror. Ah, we do get a special summon. Yeah, sure. Let's go for a special. How many was it last time? 4 lost something along those lines. It was not a good time. So we can go 1 into Link into that. That leaves me with this. I can then link into that. I guess that's fine. I don't think we're going to be able to go like full combo. So we'll just do what we can. And that starts with Harp Horror. We will summon out Nightmare here. Definitely want him out the deck. Then we'll go into... We'll just go straight into Galatea. I would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're not doing that. We'll do 1, 2. Summon out the old Galatea. Activate Galatea. We will shuffle Orcust Harp Horror back in. And you know we take in Babel. Then we go into Longirsu. We'll then go ahead and activate the effect of Orcust Nightmare to send, or boost this. Then we send Symbol Skeleton. Activate Symbol Skeleton. Bring back Galatea. And we will put it over here just to play around the odd few things that could happen. We'll then go for Ding. And we will attach with Ding. We want the skeleton back. Then we'll activate and pass. Alright. The ultimate title says last speed day for a bit, but we'll be switching games or not streaming as much. So we're still going to be playing Duel Links, and we're still going to be streaming just as much, but the new Rush Duel stuff is coming out, so we're playing that. Because Duel Links now has 2 different game modes. We have Speed Duel, which is this, which is all, you know, Link summoning, XE summoning, doing all this crazy stuff. And then we have Rush Duel, which is, I don't want to call it slower, but it is definitely slower. Like more turns, but faster turns. Which is is again the simple version of the game, which is the one that we're going to be jamming for the foreseeable future as we try out all the new stuff, because it all comes out on Friday. Which, by the way, we will not be streaming on Thursday this week. We are moving our stream day to Friday to coincide with the new box release. What have you done? You trying to like Buster Lock me? Okay, so we added this. Fusion Summon. So he's going to try and fuse my guys away. Do I just fuse straight into... I don't know what the fusion monster does is the problem. I haven't played against Buster Blader in ages. Hey, Krusty. What are we doing here? I don't want to just like walk into a trap, but at the same time... What else can I actually do? Because doesn't he have like a floodgate effect or something? I mean, we could just summon this. We could link those off. I think we're just going to go straight in with Frightful Fusion. Right, what does this do? Discard a destruction sword, special summon Bust Blade from your deck. You banish Scarf and fill the guys. Okay. So we'll summon out Frightful Tiger. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Summon out the Tiger. We will use Tiger Effect. Pop that. Pop that. Pop that. And we'll pop our own Toy Vendor. Last player was in the field graveyard. Destroy battle card effects. In the graveyard, you can target one of those destroyed monsters equipped to this card. Once per turn, you can send one monster you control equipped to this card to the graveyard. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Okay. Banish card from your graveyard. Fusion summon by banishing fusion monsters listed on it. No, we don't want to use this effect. Use the effect of Toy Bender. So now he's going to fusion summon. You having fun there, Jimmy? Comes to the ways card attack directly. Dragon type cannot activate their effects. This card attacks. I really don't know how to approach this. I'm just gonna pass the turn. I don't have time to think. I do not have time to think. So what does this guy do? Dragon type monsters on your opponent's possession can activate their effects. So it's nothing. Okay, so I was literally freaking out of nothing. I thought this was he was going to try and like buster lock me or something and like floodgate me. So I thought this was going to turn off all my effects, but it was not. Which means I could have quite easily just linked into anything. And then just removed this by bringing back Dingirsu, which we'll have to just do next turn, since he's already gone combat. Yeah, we'll use Dingirsu, sure. Oh! Timer off. Damn it, timer boss. Sick of your shit. Alright, summon. Oh no, activate. Didn't mean to do that. That's fine. Make whatever. No. Bring this out. Okay. Oh. Woo! We did it. We got there. We literally like had a massive brain fart during our opponent's turn, trying to like just learn what the Buster Blader cards do. I think they're just bad. I think that's what we learned there. I think we thought our opponent was going to be on something scary, and they just weren't. By the way, has anyone ever just given up when you've taken that marathon first turn? A couple of times. A couple of times they have. But I mean, that's a lot of the more in-depth decks do that. Play the bear in attack mode. Is this new Pokemon? Unfortunately, Jimmy, this is not the new Pokemon. Imagine if this was a new Pokemon. Whose turn is it? God knows whose turn it was when you said that. Not today, Satan. I think this is the most exciting deck I've seen you play purely because the timer is like a second opponent. I mean, it really is. We're going second as well. Okay. This hand is not fantastic, but we can do Orcust things with it. The main issue is Symbol Skeletons in our hand. And we will have to discard Harp Horror in this current hand to get anything going. And with Symbol Skeleton in hand, we won't be able to go full combo. Alright, here's Blue Eyes White Dragon. What the heck is Gar Dragon Prometheus? This card for hand to graveyard. Target Dragon Monster gives 5 attacks at the end of the opponent's turn. If a normal monster is sent to the graveyard by those cards in your graveyard. Oh, we'll have to do those in a minute. Alright, step 1. Oh, this is a really bad hand. Alright. Send both of these to grave. We can activate his effect to put a card back on top of our deck, which is probably going to be required. We'll activate Toy Vendor. Then we will activate the effect of Toy Vendor. We don't need both of these back because we can summon one of them. So we'll discard this for a card. We will special summon Bear. Although we don't need to special summon Bear. We are special summoning Bear though, right? There's no reason not to. But now we don't need to put anything back on top. No, we're still special summoning Bear. Bear. Then we will go ahead and activate Orcus Nightmare. We'll give our attack to our Bear. We will discard Harp Horror. Or send Harp Horror even. We will then activate the effect of Sabers by putting Symbol Skeleton back on top. Bring out Sabers. And then we can activate the effect of Harp Horror. Bring out Symbol Skeleton. Now we will quite simply go into the one, the only Galatea. We'll then activate Galatea effect. We will go ahead and throw Harp Horror back into the deck. And we will be setting a card. And that card is going to be Babel, because we don't need anything else right now. Then we will link both of our monsters off into Longirsu. We can then activate the effect of Symbol Skeleton to bring back Galatea. We can then activate the effect of Longirsu by shuffling both of these two back into our deck. We can send Blue Eyes Rock Dragon to the graveyard. So this will trigger his guy in the grave. Which does what exactly? Summon this card, banish it when it leaves the field. Okay, that's fine. I would like to pick sleeves, and Matt, you think best goes with your deck. Oh, okay, we'll have a look after this. See where we go with that. Completely forgot to post in the old Discord as well. Because I can do that right now. And there we go. That's how we win the game. Alright, so now, a gold 5. That's what we're talking about. That is what we are talking about. And we're getting the new stamps because of the GR Festival, which is going on right now, which is always really nice. Or GR Campaign? I don't know what they're specifically calling this. So you wanted to pick Sleeves and Matte. What I like with this deck is you always seem to have an option, whereas that guy clearly banked on Blue Eyes, but so many things got rid of it really easy. So Blue Eyes is actually a very, very strong deck right now. It's just that he was not playing the good version of Blue Eyes. Almost like Monster's Attack is kind of irrelevant. So Monster's Attack is not completely irrelevant, but it does not matter as much as a lot of people think. A lot of the time, if your opponent manages to stick a lot of high attack guys and then has a way to protect them, you don't have a way to like clear them. It can like really set you back. Alright, so we're looking for sleeves that go with our deck. So we're probably looking for either Orcust or FLUFFAL sleeves or Sora sleeves. I mean, Fright Fur Bear kind of works, but we're not actually playing Bear. We'll go with it anyway. He's pretty cool. And then I assume it's going to be... Do we have a Bear mat? I don't know if we do. We have a Sora mat. Right, I guess we'll go with Sora. So I'll swap all decks. And if no one else redeems a swap, we might be using these for a while when we play Rush on Friday. Right, let's jump into another game. Let's see if we can claim another victory with the FLUFFAL deck, which is it's such a fun deck. I think that's the thing. Apart from Timer Boss, which is the worst thing ever in Duel Links, there just shouldn't be a timer, you know. Just let me play infinite time so my old man brain can think about my plays. But other than Timer Boss, I love this deck so much. Oh, Life Point Alpha, so he's gone up to the old 5,000 life. Right, we'll immediately start out with Edge and Persist. Send Sabers, send Chain. We summon Dog. Dog effect. We grab Bear. Bear to hand. Activate Bear effect. Set Toy Vendor. Activate Vendor. Use the effect. Discard Nightmare. I mean, there's no reason not to, right? Just an extra body on the board's always nice. Put it out in defense. Then we will go ahead and use Orcus Nightmare. Give a boost to Dog. From the grave, or to the grave, we will be sending Harp Horror. Yes, we will just straight away here drop the Harp Horror effect. We will summon out Symbol Skeleton from the deck. And then we go into everyone's favourite, Galatea. Out she comes. Now I don't need to use her effect. I can force it. Is there a reason to? I don't think so. I think I'd rather just have the extra card. So we will instead just climb straight into Longirsu. Then we'll go ahead and activate Symbol Skeleton. We'll bring back everyone's favourite Galatea, and then we will overlay Galatea into Dingirsu. Now, the only problem with doing this is we are against Jaden, which means we might need to reuse a lot of our card effects on later turns. So we'll have to wait and see what actually happens with this. Because this might have shot us in the foot, because now we might not have an out to Kluger if he goes into that. But this is our turn 1 board, and we haven't really worked out what a turn 1 play against Kluger is yet. Nah, you need the timer. This deck is one that would be used by experienced or skilled players. The timer makes you really think, it sets a limit, makes you play more impressive IMO. I mean, I'll take that as a compliment. Yeah, that's fine. I'll activate Dingirsu's effect. I think our opponent is not playing like a full power Kluger deck based on the fact he's got Lightning Vortex and Sphere Karibo. Orcus Nightmare. We don't really have anything of interest we can do here. I can discard the Nightmare and then mill a card. I guess we will do that. Okay, that doesn't really get us anywhere. That was actually kind of the worst card we could have milled. Bringing back a dude? Like, what does that get me? I could also just shuffle back guys, but I don't really see a point. I think we just go to battle here. Let's see what he's got. We're going to see like Magic Cylinder or something. Drowning. That's kind of fine, right? If I use that, I can bring back a guy. That doesn't do anything for me. I think here we just pass. We don't need to do anything crazy. What is Jaden's power slash ability in the show? I caught an episode of him up against someone called Ubel, and he had glowy cat eyes. So Jaden becomes the Supreme King, which is like evil Jaden. And then he uses a card called Super Polymerization to fuse himself and Ubel together, and then he becomes like Ubel Jaden. And he gets like one red eye, one green eye, and other weird magic powers. It's a bit obtuse. But, you know, do I just like let this through? I don't have to worry about this. Yeah, that's fine, mate. Come at me. I will do this here, although this might end up backfiring. But I do want to bring out Galatea here. Then I will use Galatea effect here. And we will throw... Yeah, we'll throw Symbol Skeleton back in. That turns on my other Orcus cards. And then we will set Orchestrate Return just to thin out the deck a little bit. So he has the ability to like see dual spirits. And then I don't think he gets anything else that's particularly impressive. Right, let's activate Heart Horror here. Then we'll summon out Symbol Skeleton. What is Ubel? I keep seeing something about Jaden putting it in space. Yeah, so Ubel was a card that Jaden drew as a kid, I think? That might have just been all the Neospatians. Alright, how do we want to play this? We want to link into that, so we will do that now. Yes. So we'll go 1, we'll go 2. Link into Dingirsu. We'll go ahead and activate the effect of Symbol Skeleton here. Bring back Galatea. We'll activate the effect of Longirsu, not Dingirsu, to shuffle these two back into the deck. Send this to grave. Then overlay over into Dingirsu. We'll use Dingirsu effect to send one of our opponent's cards. Then we can activate Orcus Nightmare. Give a boost to whatever. Send Harp. Then we can activate Harp. Bring out Symbol. Oh, I don't have bird left. That's annoying. I mean, do we just go with this? This is probably fine. Let's just go to battle. Let's see what he's got. Does he have another Mirror Force? He's got no cards to work with, so even if he does, we don't mind having these two back in our deck. Is it going to be like Magic Cylinder or something? Crap hole of spikes. That's fine? Yeah, that's fine. We can just use his effect to stop the effect. Whoop. And we win. Oh, no, 200. And our opponent gives up anyway. Ubel is a reincarnation of a past life guardian of Jaden or something. Also a psycho. I thought it was an actual person. He pinged into space somehow as a kid and warped it into that beastie. I was slightly off. But also as a card. By the way, this was a random episode I caught on stream, hence no context. Now I get why it summoned itself and no one seemed to be shocked. Yu-Gi-Oh's a silly one, isn't it? I can't possibly imagine explaining it to someone who didn't grow up with it. It is truly, but I love shows that go ridiculous to make concept relevant and work. I mean, it's like one of my favorite series of Yu-Gi-Oh was Arc 5. And that, like, you try and explain that to people and it's like, yeah, so the universe was once one dimension, but it got split into 4 different dimensions, and the main character is from the standard dimension, and he gets together with a bunch of friends, and they become like the dimensional lancers, and they have to travel to all the different dimensions where they all specialize in a specific summoning method. So in the standard dimension, you have tribute summoning and pendulum summoning as the primary mechanic, but then when you go to the synchro dimension, everyone there just does synchro summoning. When you go to the XE's dimension, everyone there just does XE summoning. When you go to the fusion dimension, everyone there just does fusion summoning. So the fusion dimension also learns how to travel between dimensions, and they start invading the others and going to war. And they went to war with the Xyz dimension. And it's just like, what happened to just playing card games, you know? I mean, I suppose it was never that, because it was always Egyptian magic and stuff, right? But it's so ridiculous. I hate that I got all that. What have I done with my life? Exactly. It's so weird. I really like... So my favorite part about Arc V was that different duelists had different specialties, right? Like, you had people that was a pendulum duelist. You had a person that was, my deck is a fusion deck. I have a synchro deck. I have an Xyz deck. And that's kind of the direction the game went around that time as well. Like, Duelist Alliance, I think a lot of people agree, was one of the greatest sets of all time. But, yeah... The whole dimension hopping thing was like, it was neat, but that wasn't like the main appeal of it for me at the very least. We activate FLUFFAL Bear here. We'll activate the effect of our toy vendor. Waiting for response. Activate the effect. Send horror. And then we'll summon dog. Use the effect of dog. We have no way to get wings into grave, so I guess we just take sheep here. Special sheep. Activate sheep. Put dog back. Bring back Egypt chain. Then this is where things get a little bit tricky, because we kind of have a specific way we want to do this. We get that, we'll have 4 bodies, possibly 5, but 5 is not going to be enough. So I think we have to just go Harp Horror here. Bring out Nightmare. Then we want to go straight into Galatea. And we specifically want to leave our chain on the field right now as we climb into Galatea. Because now we can activate the effect. Actually, before we do any of that, we just want to use Galatea effect. Throw this back into deck. And we will be setting our Babel. Then we will go ahead and activate the effect of... Actually, we want to use Nightmare as well before we mess that up. Gain the attack here. And we will send our Symbol Skeleton. Then we will activate the effect of Sabers. Bring it back by putting Frightfare Fusion on top of our deck. Because now, when we link off into Longirsu, using both of these monsters... we will get the effect of Chain to add the Frightfare Fusion we just put back on top of our deck back into our hand. We should have it normal summoned, apparently. I don't even need to normal summon. This is the weird part. I mean, here I think we just use Symbol Skeleton. We just go for a generic start. We overlay into Dingirsu. And then we'll use Dingirsu effect to attach skeleton. Activate this. And then we'll just pass. Yeah, we didn't even need a normal summon this turn. We did all of this without a normal. It is truly... I love the shows that go ridiculous to make the concept relevant and work. Like the length of the show Cobra Kai goes to... So karate is relevant. It's just fantastic. I hate that I got all that. Any card game anime, it's never about the game. How are the matches going? The matches are going pretty good. We haven't actually lost one yet. Arc V sounds kind of cool. It does, but then there's that one kid. I can't... And I just couldn't keep watching. A kid? Annoying, very annoying. Who are we talking about? Which Arc V kid is annoying? No, that's Super Poly. 5Ds is goated. 5th out of 8. I'm enjoying it. Bikes was weird and the intro song was banger. 6 if you include Rush anime. 8 seasons. Well, poop. Well, you got to remember 2 of those are Rush. I think I'm fine to leave it as is. I don't need to just immediately get rid of this. Miracle Contact. That's fine. It puts you Bell back. This gets him Kluger, and Kluger can be destroyed. So we want to destroy the Kluger, not send it. Because we need to save our symbol skeleton. Yeah, we just let this die. Wait, just think of piercing. Half the monster's attack. Which means I have to deal with this. Oh, no, we don't. Okay, we're fine. Everything is a-okay. How many do we have in grave? 1, 2, 3. So I don't actually have to worry about anything. I'll just hard drop Frightful Fusion here then. We go Tiger. We're banishing 1, 2, 3. Come on out, Tiger. Tiger effect. We will simply be popping all of your shit. And we will also be popping our Toy Vendor itself. We'll trigger the effect of Toy Vendor, and then he will trigger the effect of Kluger. Or Wiseman. Yeah, Kluger. Kluger to get Wiseman. You're just not doing anything? I mean, we'll add wings here. Why didn't he do anything? Summon dog? Use the effective dog? Grab bear? Activate bear? I think I'm just going to go straight to battle. Swing? What have you got? You have nothing? Why didn't you just summon out Wiseman? Because did he look at my graveyard and know that I had the way to deal with it, so just didn't bother? I legit do not know. Oh, the Shivers kid. Oh, the guy who had the what they called, the dinosaur cutout cards. What are they called? Draw monsters? Doodle sketch, right? Doodle sketch monsters. Let me have a look. I mean, I'm not going to lie. That guy was kind of annoying, but also the monsters in his deck were really cool. So, like, if we jump over here, you can see that, look at these cards, right? Doodle Beast Stego. Look at him. He's beautiful. And then there's Doodle Beast Tyranno. They're just sketches of dinosaurs. I love Doodle Beasts. Now, again, the character himself was not very interesting. He was very comic reliefy, but look at these. Look at these guys. These little guys. They're great. I am still going through 5Ds. 5Ds is goated. 8 seasons. The Shivers Kid. However, if they aren't on Amazon Prime, then I won't be watching. I think a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just on like Yu-Gi-Oh.com or like Yu-Gi-Oh! Card.com or something. I think they have a load of them just on their own website. Which is a shame about GX, as I like the cards in that. He threw Wiseman to the grave with Super Poly. Oh! Does he have one? Or is this the skill give it to you? I don't play the Wiseman deck, so I just straight up don't, like, know the ins and outs. All I know is I have broken the board before, and I usually know the steps I need to take to get through it. I feel this deck breaks people's souls. Oh my god, that's based. Exactly. Doodle-based Stego. That's the boy. Oh, man, we've been on a bit of a tear so far today, and Timer Boss hasn't defeated us yet. He's gotten close. He got very close once, but we won't let it happen. Because we're better than Timer Boss. We'll teach him. Another big pile of wins. Let's see if we can get another one. Let's see if we can get a rank up. Get some more gem rewards. That's what we're all about. We're all about the gems. And I think we're also at the point where we have so many gems. I'm pretty sure we will be fine to just get all the cards from the mini box that comes out on Friday, and we'll have a ton left over that will disappear. So those will be going into speed. So we are going to have to work out what the next speed deck we want to make is. Raging Pendulum. Now this deck sucks. I suck against this deck. I don't think I've ever beaten this deck. We'll have to see if today is the day. Right, we always dog. Dog effect. I think we always go wing. Wing was probably the incorrect choice here. Just because. Forces me into a bit of a weird predicament. So I think instead, if I go Harp now, where does that end me? I don't have another summon. So we should have taken Sheep here. I think we then have to send Wings now. Right, we'll summon out Bear. We have already misplayed. So this is not going great. That kind of sorts us out a little bit. I think here we just need Sabers to get us going. We'll activate our skill. So we'll send that. We'll send that. And guess what isn't once per turn? That's right. Everybody's favourite toy vendor. We'll activate its effect. We'll send Harp Horror. That's pretty good. Then we need to make sure we use his effect. But before we do that, we have to... I guess, do we just straight Harp Horror here? I think we do. We'll summon out Orcus Nightmare. I think we have to play this safe. No, we don't. We don't do that one. Jesus, that was a misclick enough. We'll go 1. We'll go 2. Summon out Galatea. We'll then go ahead and use Galatea effect. Chuck this back into deck. We'll grab out our Babel. Then we will go ahead and use Imp Sabers and put back Simple Skeleton into the deck. Then we can use... God, we have so many cards. We don't need any of this. This is so weird. Alright, we'll go ahead and use Nightmare here. Boost this. We'll send Skeleton. Then we'll go into Dingirsu. Yes, please. To that. Bring this out. We'll activate the effect of Symbol Skeleton. Banish that. Bring out Galatea. We'll overlay. Dingirsu onto Galatea. We'll attach Symbol Skeleton. Activate this. And we'll pass. Alright. That's yeah, we'll teach the concept of time. I've seen a lot of crying about Raging Pendulum. How bad is it? A lot of rage about it. I can't tell if you're memeing because you're saying rage about Raging Pendulum. But Raging Pendulum is just it's very one-dimensional. It makes a board that blows up everything your opponent has and then just wins the game. And the other issue is it's very versatile because you can use it to just go into like Xyz's Rebellion and weaken your opponent's shit. Now we do have Dingirsu, so we might be alright. The issue is this bugger. Krusty Camper, the gym man himself, gifting 5 subscriptions and hitting our sub goal. What an MVP. Look at this man. Comes in, just casually drops in, trolls the chat a little bit talking about Pokemon, and then just drops 5 subs. What a legend.
Krusty Camper gifted 5 subscriptions.
It's just all of the sound effects. So who got hit? Alpacalypse, Retro, we got Sketchy, Tired Musician. We hit a lot of people. And everyone who has just subbed, you can now use all of the emotes, not just the freebies we already had. I actually already forgotten which ones were the free emotes and the not free emotes, the sub emotes. So I can now use this beauty. Look at the grin. Oh, that's a good looking guy right there. For the chicken burger. Oh wait, I'm not sub myself. I mean, I appreciate that you dropped 5. Don't feel like you have to sub yourself. What effect is he using? Once per turn, you can discard 1 pendulum, target 1 face-it monster on the field and destroy it. That's fine. We will use Dingirsu's effect here and stop that. Thank you for the sub, Krusty. Really do appreciate it. Look at that, 16 out of 15. We have blown past the sub goal. We're going to have to try and get good use of that rower.
Camper just subscribed.
I love how we got 2 different text-to-speeches on those. I got to sort that out at some point. Okay, you just summoned a bunch of guys in 1 turn. That's fine. So you're going to gain attack. Attack over my guys. I mean, we're kind of just chilling right now. Goes into Big Eye. Okay. So now here we'll activate Nightmare. I wasn't expecting Big Eye. We'll gain the attack on this. Then we'll activate his effect. Pop these 2 back. Then we'll send that. That's very odd. Why have you taken him? What was your goal with this? Okay, so we draw. I mean, I'm just going to hard drop Frightful Fusion here, I think. Go 1. We'll go 2. We'll go 3. Summon that Tiger. Tiger effect. We'll get rid of the back row. We'll get rid of the big eye. And we'll get rid of the ding. Or the long, even. Summon that face on counter attacks effects are negated. That's a little bit annoying. And we're still kind of fine, right? We just summon this. Use the effective dog. Dog grabs this. We then link into this by using this and this. Activate the effect. Discard this. Target this. Activate this. Bring back this. No, don't do that. Timer Boss has been defeated. Timer Boss thinks he can just walk in here into our stream and tell us that we're not allowed to play the game. We show Timer Boss who's boss. Sit down, Timer Boss. And the rank up. Beautiful. That's what we love to see. Big dub. Big dub. Oh, God. Let's have a look what we got here. So we have more people just jumping in the chat. Are you going to enter any tournaments? So we have never... I say never. We haven't played any speed duel tournaments pretty much since coming back to Duel Links. We haven't entered a speed duel tournament, I think, since like the Synchro era. But I'd definitely be up for it at some point. The only problem is, I'm not actually... Right, despite appearances and getting all these wins, we are only at Gold 7. We are not actually very good at speed duel. We are fine at speed duel. There are much better people than me at this game. So if I did play this in a tournament, I think I could take a couple games. I would not get anywhere near to winning the tournament. I think I'd be lucky to top. Time Boss, no, that's such a close call. Exactly, Apocalypse, but we take those. We take those. Win top 10 anime battles of all time. Choose my game mat. Krusty Camper coming in again, spending his gems. That does mean we have only just changed our game mat, so you will be wrestling it away from someone. But that is what this is here for. So, what game mat do you want? Krusty? Do you want mission, event, shop, or other? Well, I guess shop's got nothing. So do you want others, event, or mission? I mean, just choose one of these three. A mission, an event, or another. And we'll go from there. Immediately cuts down the amount. You may not be a best player, but you are playing the most Giga Chad deck. Exactly. Fluffals are best deck. Other looks cool. Okay, so we got all of these. There aren't that many in here. Do you want something with just monsters on it, like the god cards? Or do you want something that's got a load of characters on it, like... Is there a satellite cannon game map? That is a question. I don't know, actually. There probably isn't. But I would love it if there was, because Satellite Cannon is such a cool looking card. Really, really shit card, but such a cool looking card. Unfortunately, we don't have a Satellite Cannon map. There probably is one, I just don't have it. Anything with pink, the most flamboyant mat you can find. Okay. Well, there's the Dark Magician Girl one. There is... not that one. Flamboyant is what we're looking for. That's just the girls of 5Ds. Not 5Ds. Zexal. What are we looking for here? Something flamboyant. I think it's going to have to just be... The weird... because flamboyant is such a specific... Nah, that's not flamboyant, really. Might just have to be the girls. Crowler. You want Crowler? Yeah, we can go Crowler. Here he is. Crowler with the roses as well. This is pretty damn flamboyant. Crowler's tricky treats. And we'll set it to all decks. Crowler is one of my favorite characters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Period. I really like characters in games that are kind of a stick in the mud. I love that kind of archetype. Like FF9, if anyone's played Final Fantasy 9, Steiner is my favorite character in that game, and he is just the most awful person. Like, personality-wise, the awful person. But you know what I mean? He's very awkward. He's very up himself a lot of time. It's his way or the highway. He's very stubborn. Let's jump into another game. Jake goes on. Let's see what Jake has for us. So we're going first. We need to get this to the grave. This would just be... We have one of these to be our normal. If we use Toy Vendor, send Toy Vendor, that means we can't get that into grave, so we're not doing that. Is this turn just going to be... I think it might just be activate Toy Vendor. Use the effect of Toy Vendor, discard Harp Horror. That's the only other card we didn't want in the graveyard. Where does that leave us? If we can go into Galatea. And then what? This is really bad. Do we just go Galatea past? That can't be the play. That's so bad. We literally don't have another play, so... We'll grab out Nightmare. We could just go Dingirsu pass. That's still, though, really shockingly bad. But I think that might actually just be the play. We can't even use her effect because we won't have enough cards to attach. So I think we will just do this. Let's pop him down here. Just out of the way. Down you go, Ding. We'll attach this. We will go ahead and use this here. We will send Simple Skeleton to Graveyard for a follow-up. Right, this is a really bad open. I can't claim sleeves. What, do you not have enough points, or is there a restriction on it? As you bell. Disciple of Nephthys. So this is going to grab that. It will trigger Yubel's effect because it's been destroyed. Just doesn't work. It should do. Other people have claimed it today. What's he doing? Yes, I would like to use the effect of Dingirsu here. When it leaves the field, that's the annoying part of this. This draw also does not do me any favors. I mean... Do I just pass? I don't have to do anything right now. We'll just let him do his thing. I really have no idea how to play against this deck, by the way. We are completely winging this. We are just swinging wild at this point. Okay, what does this guy do? Once per turn, you can destroy Nephthys cards in your hand or field, then destroy cards your opponent controls. Well, we're not letting you do that, mate. Stop it. Harp Horror. It's an interesting one. We already have a Harp Engrave. Right, let's go Symbol. Let's just bring back Ding. We will get rid of his Ubel. Because we have to get rid of it at some point, right? So now he gets this guy out. And this one is, cannot destroy a battle, you take no battle damage with the card, at the end of the damage step, face it. That's what it's supposed to damage your opponent. Okay, that's fine. Now, we can go ahead and activate Orcust Harp Horror. Summon this guy out. Locked into Dark, which is kind of fine, right? I think here we will just go into everyone's favorite Brute Enforcer. Activate Brute Enforcer. We'll send Harp Horror. Target this. I'll get a card out of his hand. And it's Kiteroid. Jesus, what is this guy's deck? We don't really want Babble back in our hand. I think here again we just pass. Again, I really don't know how to navigate this deck, like whatsoever. We are just entirely throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Oh, this guy gets to come back. Okay, are we just dead? Yeah, we are just dead. Okay. I mean, I don't know how to play against meme deck that has loads of kind of weird stipulations about when we destroy and remove his cards, so I don't think we were ever winning that. But we do know a little bit more about that deck now. If we were to play against it again, we have a few more places we know we can play around it. As well as the fact that because of... That was certainly a deck. Exactly. I can't play against meme because I don't know what meme does. Sometimes meme is just, it does nothing and it just falls over. But sometimes meme is, well, how do I... You have to carefully like unpick the deck and it's very difficult to work out how to do it. Right, Yami Yugi. This is probably going to be a Dark Magician deck, which is at least something we kind of know a little bit about. Okay, we will activate Bear. Since we don't have anything useful right now, we basically have to get wings to start digging. Because like I could do a bunch of other stuff, but I need to end on an Orcust monster. Okay, so that will get us into our Symbol Skeleton. Which is the bare minimum we needed, so that's fine. We'll then use the effect of Wings. Send it with Bear. Draw another card. Then we use the effect of Toy Vendor. And here, I think we just grab Sheep. At this point, we can activate our skill, Edge and Persist. We'll send our Edgimp Chain and Edgimp Sabers to the graveyard. Now, we can special this out, which I think is worth doing. We can then activate the effect of FLUFFAL Sheep, put this back in our hand, and bring back Edgimp Chain. We don't have access to any other Orcust monsters. It's the main issue we're having right now. Okay, we'll go into this for now. So we'll go 1, 2, into the Galatea. So the next thing we can do is activate Edgimp Sabers. Put this back on top of our deck. Summon this out. Then I think we go into this, you know. Go 1, 2. Summon out Decode. This triggers Edgimp Chain. Then we can activate Symbol Skeleton. Bring out Galatea. Just as far as we want to go. We don't have any more Orcus cards is the problem. We never managed to get him out of hand. So I think here we are just going to go into Dingirsu. I thought we could climb further than this, but I don't think we could have. But this is kind of fine still. We still get to end with 4 cards in hand. Oh yeah, just making them very, very bright. Can't tell that they're scissors. How do I look at your opponent's hand? Also, if the card's name becomes Thousand Eyes idle in the end phase, this card is banished. Target 1 effect controls, equip. Target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, equip that effect monster to an Eyes Restrict or Relinquished monster. Jesus, I've never played against this deck before. Well, I have to negate this. Oh, so he gets to take both of my guys? Wait, no, he doesn't. He'll take this. And then what? This thing will go down to 23. And then I'll be bigger than him, right? I think we just let him take it. Because once he's already got a monster, he can't take another one. Discard this card, take 1 effect controls, target. So now we have to negate that. Because otherwise he gets both. Destroy by battle, destroy the equipped monster. Okay, what the hell does this do? During your main phase, your bench card together, take 1 effect monster, controls equip. Stop taking all my shit, you jerk! I'm going to murderfy you. Right. We activate Bear. We grab this. We'll activate Toy Vendor. We use the effect. Discard Harp Horror. Normal dog. Use the effect of dog. Grab that. Go ahead and activate... Wait a minute. Oh yeah, my Sabers is over there, so I can't even do a fusion. This is awkward. Then we just activate Symbol Skeleton, right? Bring this back. Send that. Then I guess we still do want to play around any pesky Kiteroid action, so we will just go for this. And then we kill. Look at this jerk trying to take all my stuff with 1000 Eyes. I mean, to be fair, 1000 Eyes looks really cool, right? And 1000 Eyes, you know, Pegasus classic. But don't take my shit, you jerk. So what else we got in here? Children can't see scissors, I guess. Exactly. Sorry, had a quick meeting. Nice, Matt. Good choice. Thanks, Jimmy. My favorite moment is when the opponent said it's relinquishing time and relinquished all over your board. Yeah, that was the worst time for me personally, but did you see Roa's voice actor stream yesterday? He played Duel Links. I did not see that. Where was that at? Was that like on like the Konami official YouTube or something? Also, I assume it was the English Roa voice actor. I don't think I have heard English Roa yet, because I watched all of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s in his own channel. Ah, okay. Okay. Don't know if I... Yeah, you can promote. I don't care. We're not gonna kick up a fuss. I think it sounds really cool. We got Grandpa. And we're going second. What does this hand do? I can do Wings combo. Jam Buds VO. I mean, I'll definitely check that out after this. Oh, we're against Crusadia. What does Crusadia do? It gets... One of the cards from the graveyard has a protection effect. Yeah, so... If a Crusadia monster be destroyed, he can banish this instead. Is it once per turn? Yeah, it's a hard once though, so we can only do it once. Banned, no promotions. I can... That's what Crusadia is. Okay, gets Regulex. Then he summons a guy, which triggers Regulex effect. Grabs out Ruler. Legend of Heroes to gain life points. Tribute to Crusadia or World Legacy Monster card points to, which will be the trap card. Target one face-up card your pick controls negate its effects. Okay. So he's going to activate Crawler. This turns a negate online. And then gets that effect, add a card to hand, gets Succession. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is activate Bear. We'll then flip over Toy Vendor. We're then going to normal summon Dog. And try and use the effect of Dog. Are we allowed to do this? Alright, so now... Which engine do we want to turn on? We probably want to just take Sabers here, I think. We'll activate our skill. We send Sabers. We send Chain. We'll then activate Toy Vendor. We'll send this to grave. Then yeah, we'll summon this. So how does this work? You can tribute one Crusader or World Legacy Monster card points to. All monsters this card points to. Okay, that's fine. We don't care about your attack. So we'll just go ahead and chuck this in front of you. Hello. So now, we'll activate Orcus Nightmare. Give a boost to our little doggy dog. And then to the graveyard, we will be sending Harp Horror. We'll activate the effect of Harp Horror. Summon out Symbol Skeleton from the deck. We'll then go 1, 2. I'm going to summon out Galatea. I'm going to go 1, 2. Summon out Longirsu. I'm going to activate Longirsu. Put these two back. There's his negate. Next we overlay into Dingirsu. And we'll send one card you control to the graveyard. I mean, at this point it doesn't really matter what I do, right? I guess we'll just drop the Frightfur Fusion. Go 1, 2, 3, 4. Summon out Frightfur Wolf. Go to battle. Swing. 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 And that's all it is. Alright. Any rush archetype you're particularly interested coming to Duel Links? So we did talk about this a little bit at the start of the stream. But there are quite a few that I am very much looking for. Remember that if you put a monster in front of Equimax, it can't attack. Yeah, that's fine. I wasn't leaving him with an Equimax. What do you think about new box? Will it change the meta rush? So we can talk about that a little bit again. Because we did talk about it a little bit earlier. But, obviously, not everyone was here then. So if we flick back over to the box. There is some really cool stuff in here. I think the most interesting stuff... Bismuth19, hello. How's it going? We're just talking about Rush Box, which is coming out on Friday. So I think the archetypes I'm most excited for is going to be Royal Rebels. I think that goes without saying. Royal Rebels is, the face card of the box. It's looking like it's going to be really, really cool. We have the new character coming out. Then the second most exciting thing, I think, for me is going to be Ancient Arise Dragon. I really want to try the Ancient Arise Dragon deck. So I think it could be really, really good, especially because Ancient Arise Dragon does play around the barrier so much. Bender Break is probably the weirdest one. I'm really not... Maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe someone will find a way to break this card. I'm not seeing it personally. I'm not feeling like Bender Break is going to be actually good. I'm ready and willing to be proven wrong. And I kind of hope I am proven wrong, because it's just cool to see more meta archetypes. I feel like Bender Break is going to be like the new Vault Condor, where people are like, oh, this could be useful. And then it's just not, unfortunately. I do really think as well, though, that Speedy Performer might be a really interesting card. But it's a weird card, though, because it only has 400 attack. So aggro decks probably aren't going to want to use this, because they've already got their Thunder the Thunder. But I don't know if there is a place for this. I really want this card to be good, but I think only having 400 attack is what lets it down. You basically only want to use this card if you're going to be tributing it off. So it's a little bit shaky. But yeah, in terms of archetypes we're looking for, we're really looking forward to dragons, and we're really looking forward to the fiends. And do we think it will change the meta? I think it will change the meta. It's just in what way? Like, will we see completely different decks winning tournaments? Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if Royal Rebels are decent and they do take a few tournament tops. I wouldn't be surprised if Ancient Arise Dragon does well. But is Ancient Arise Dragon that different from Dragonic Resonance, where you wouldn't be just like, oh, dragons are still winning, right? It's basically going to be an upgrade to the dragon deck. Thanks for the follow, Dr. Tomberry. Spellcasters aren't really getting anything here as well, so they might fall off. They've already been falling off a little bit. I think Spellcasters have a really rough matchup specifically into the Aqua Aggro. Aqua Aggro, though, itself isn't getting a ton of new tools. So maybe this will be better suited for that. Like, maybe Aqua Aggro will start falling off a little bit. Like, this is clearly here to promote the new dragon. We got the Royal Rebels, and then there's a lot of stuff in here for Psychic and Warrior. I still don't know if Psychic or Warrior is going to be good enough to really do enough here. They have a new skill, plus the Card Trader card, though. The problem is that, first off, their new skill is basically... We have it over here. So the new skill, Tempest Drive, it's basically not a spellcaster skill, right? It's a beast skill. Like, it has spellcasters in it because you kind of have to combine the two in the same way that Vault Condor is a winged beast deck, but you jam spellcasters in that deck as well. Like, I think Tempest Drive is going to be its own deck that is going to focus around Seven's Road plus Bender Break. But is that going to be a good deck? It's kind of hard to tell. Probably not, based looking at it, but... and the new card they're getting as well is also a bit naff. I'm not a huge fan of Road Magic Tempest. I think this card, having to have a level 7 or higher spellcaster is annoying in itself, but also having to then send a wind monster from hand to graveyard is too much. Is there no level 5 double costing for Royals? So the closest thing we have is there is the skill, which if we come back over to here, there is the skill. No, rush skills, please. What's it called? Tribute something. Tribute boost. So this is kind of the closest thing we have, which is can be activated from turn 4 onwards, pay 1,000 life points. One face-up level 5 or 6 monster on your field gains 500 attack until the end of this turn, and it can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a monster in attack position, but you cannot attack directly. So this is the closest thing we have to that. Which is fine. I don't think this will be used over the specific skill we got, the Royal Rebels Heavy Drive. I think Royal Rebels Heavy Drive is probably going to be better. Just being able to increase the level of a level 4 light attribute monster is really, really good. And you can use this on non-fiend monsters. So I'm expecting a lot of people to start using Parrot in this deck. Is it called Parrot? What is it called? It's the Wing Beast. Oh, I'm searching the wrong section, that's why. Parrot. Because this is a level 4 light monster. Now, it has nothing to do with fiends, but the skill only says increase the level of a level 4 light attribute effect monster. And Parrot does count as that. And again, looking over to our Royal Rebels Heavy Metal, all it says is tribute a level 5 or higher monster. It doesn't say it has to be a fiend, which means we can use those together, and that will just try and make the Royal Rebels Heavy Drive skill a little bit more consistent. The only thing I don't like about the skill is if you're the player going first and activate this effect, return 1 card from your hand to the deck. That is the only thing I don't like about the skill, because that sucks. You don't want to just lose a card randomly. That's really bad. If you're going second, though, you get rewarded because you get to send Heavy Metal from deck to graveyard, which is fine because we have access to Rocker, who just gets it from the graveyard back to our hand. So we kind of get to shoot her out. So it's a weird kind of system, right? Where you're rewarded for going second, but you're also heavily punished for going first. So it feels very, very strange. Now, again, maybe when we get our hands on it and we play, 20, 100 games with this deck and the skill, you'll start to see the intricacies of why you needed to lose a card or why sending Royal Rebels Heavy Metal to the graveyard doesn't hurt you that badly. But it feels very strange. There aren't many skills that do affect you whether you're going first or second. The only other one I can really think of that's really detrimental is Seven's Axel Road. And that is because if you go first with Seven's Axel Road, you have to wait until your 3rd turn before you can search out the Seven's Road Magician. Whereas if you go second, you can do it on your 2nd turn, because your 2nd turn is the 4th turn of the game, and that skill can only be used on the 4th turn onwards. So it's very weird. Like, these are the only 2 skills I can think of the top of my head, which do have stipulations that are drastically affected by you going first or second. So it's a bit weird. Okay, this looks somewhat promising. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be really good. The only drawback I'm seeing right now with the Royal Rebels is we only have one of their boss monsters, and that's Heavy Metal. So the deck is going to live or die based on whether you find your Royal Rebels Heavy Metal. And again, if you go second, you can send one to grave, and then you effectively have 5 copies of Heavy Metal, right? Because you've got the 3 Royal Rebels Rocker, which can get it back from grave, and then you have the Royal Rebels Heavy Metal in your deck, which you could just hard draw. So either of these would be fine, right? Especially since Rocker will get the card back to hand, which you can also use it as tribute fodder to get out the monster. So the ratios are going to look a bit weird, but that does kind of work to the deck's strength, because that means you're now more likely to play Growl, because Growl is a card that probably wasn't going to see much play otherwise, because it's hard to fit in just all of these high-level monsters. But now that we don't have Invasion, people are now... You're almost forced to run Growl, and Growl is not a bad card, it's just... It's hard to fit it in. But now that we don't have to worry about space, Growl will probably just find a nice, easy spot. It's one of the only level 6 monsters we'll probably be running. Realistically, the deck's probably going to be 3 Rocker, 3 Metal, 3 Growl, 3 Gargoyle, 3 Parrot, and then, you expand from there. I don't know if we're going to see much play with, King's Reward. I'm not a huge fan of the level 1 strategy and the level 1 centric cards. I don't think that's going to be super great But then again, maybe that one attack negate from the level up reward is going to be worth it, but I'm not feeling it personally. Obviously, the biggest card in the set, ironically, Ghost Cyclone keeps slipping by the wayside, but Ghost Cyclone is fantastic. This card is incredible, especially if you have ways to empty your graveyard. Now, right now in Rush, we do not have ways to empty our graveyard. But in the future, there are some decks that just empty their graveyard constantly. Sea Serpents is a big one. When Sea Serpents eventually becomes very, very good, way in the future, way like years and years and years time, when Sea Serpents become really, really good, this card becomes very, very powerful in that deck in general because they're able to empty their graveyard, which means that draw is always on. But even if you don't get the draw from this card, it's still really good. The more annoying part of this is having no monsters on your field, because sometimes you'll just end up with like a straggler on your field. Like your opponent just won't be able to kill all of your guys. They'll just leave you with a guy and you won't be able to use Ghost Cyclone, which kind of sucks. Thanks for the follow, Mech Lord. So that's the main problem you're going to run into with this. But the other, like, just big standout is just the barrier, right? Now, everyone gets a combat trap. And I did specifically mention this in my video, which, by the way, if anyone wants to go check out any more Rush Duel content, it's over there on the YouTube channel. But having a 400 combat trick is very, very important. That now, I think, even adds to the fact that Dragon Casters and Ancient Arise Dragon deck are going to be that much stronger, because you're always going to want to play Dragius anyway, right? Dragius is still the best card, right? You're still going to want to play it. So you're going to want a deck that can use that. But then you're also going to want, ideally, cards that can play around the barrier. And the best cards for doing that are Ancient Arise Dragon and Seven's Road Magician. And to an extent as well, Royal Rebels Heavy Metal, because they can get their attacks so high, they don't care about losing 400. So because of that, I really do think Ancient Arise Dragon is going to be decent. And I think that the Dragon Caster deck is also going to be feeling really good because it can make the most out of this box. Like, Dragon Casters realistically aren't really changing anything, right? They're going to gain the barrier. They're going to gain Ghost Cyclone, which they might not even want to use those cards. They probably will, because I think they're just going to be really, really good. And the only issue is the barrier doesn't synergize very well with Seven's Road Magician. It does synergize very well with Dragius, but not SRM. But then it becomes like a sword and shield mentality, right? Where you want to be attacking with your Seven's Road, and you want to have Dragius on defense when you're being attacked. What's the optimal ratio for traps and spells? Current meta is like 39 monsters plus 1 Phantom Bind, most because bricks. So, I think 7 is the upper limit I would want to push to. I think 4 is going to probably be the minimum we're going to start seeing. I think you're going to see Widespread Ruin and 3 copies of the barrier. I think that will be something people, like, test out. And I think the alternative is going to be 3 Ghost Cyclone, 3 barrier, and 1 Widespread Ruin. That'll be the 7. And I think some decks will try to cut that even smaller. So they might do, like, a double barrier, double Cyclone, 1 copy of Widespread Ruin to try and go for a 5 package. I think it's going to sit somewhere between 4 and 7. That's kind of where I'm at. I think playing less than 4 means that your deck is doing something very specific. Like, for example, Dragonic Resonance, the way that that deck likes to close out games, although we've been seeing it's kind of evolved over time, it was using Dragonic Pressure to close out games. And that deck used to be on 3, but as we've seen more recently, people have started playing less and less copies of that card. But that card works so well when most of your deck, like almost your entire deck, is monsters, apart from this one spell. If we suddenly have Dragonic Pressure or Dragonic Resonance decks playing Ghost Cyclone and playing the Barrier and playing Widespread, and then still trying to play 3 copies of Dragonic Resonance, they're never going to, not Resonance, Pressure, they're never going to resolve Pressure, because they're never going to have 3 monsters in their hand, because they've got so many spell traps. So it's going to be very interesting going forward. I think the next few days, so like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is going to be very, very interesting. That'll be a really, really fun time to play ranked games, because everyone will be trying to work out what's good. I think it's quite easy for someone to say, oh, I solved the meta, I know exactly what's going to happen. Realistically, we don't know that. Like, going into the first week or the first day of Rush Duel when it released, most people were finding success with the aggro build, which was just Dragius plus Prima Katana plus a bunch of 15s. That deck fell off super hard, and everyone was convinced that was going to be the strongest deck. But then Dragoncasters, Dragons, and Spellcasters shot up, took its place. Warriors started doing very well. And then as we got more cards and more events and people started playing more, the meta shifted again. As we got the Aqua stuff, again, there was a slight shift to the meta because Seahorse Carrier was just that good. It was a good enough card to make Aquas an actual very competitive deck, as well as be a very good engine for other decks. So it just goes to show that even the smallest little changes can drastically change things. So I am very, very much looking forward to just getting my hands on all these cards and just jamming just a bunch of games, which are going to be on Friday. Really, really looking forward to it. Again, there will not be a stream on Thursday. We will only be playing on Friday this week. We might do a bonus stream on Sunday. We have not decided yet, but no stream Thursday. It will be on Friday this week. But shall we hop back in to some speed duel? I think that's going to be on the menu here. And I do need some water because I've just been talking non-stop for so long. Alright, Jaden Newbell. So this is probably going to be the Kruger-Wiseman deck. Oh, when am we getting a rank? Can we do it? He really carried Aqua. Exactly. Seahorse Carrier was just completely bonkers. Oh, we're going first. This hand is not very good. So we'll start with Dog. So Dog has to go into Bear. We have to use Bear. Then we have to send Harp Horror. And we need to not hit Nightmare. That's fine. And grab this out of our deck. So now we can use Harp Horror here. We grab out Nightmare. Here we have to go into Galatea. Unfortunately, this is not going to be a very good end board, but it's what we've got. So we just have to make do. We'll use the effect of Nightmare. We'll boost the attack of Galatea. We'll send Symbol Skeleton to grave. We will then activate the effect of Galatea. Pop this back in the deck. Oh, this is where things get tricky. Do I want Babble or do I want Return? Getting another card engraved doesn't get me anywhere. The draws might, but it's very risky. I think we do just take Babble here. Activate the effect, or activate the card, not the effect. And then we will just overlay into Dingirsu, which again is not the best thing, but it's the best we've got right now, so we're just going to have to do it. Then we'll use Ding to reattach this, and then we'll pass. The benefit of this is we haven't committed to Longirsu, which means we still have it to attempt to deal with the Kluger-Wiseman. Let's see what our opponent has for us here. Straight into Neos. Super Poly. Probably add Super Poly here. Yeah. This is probably then just game. Unfortunately, we couldn't really do anything else. Like, the only other thing we could have done would have been to search out our Orchestrated Draw card, discarded a card drawn, but we've already used all of our Orchest effects except for the skeleton. I mean, I guess we still do have one form of interruption. We can add one Miracle Fusion from deck to hand. Okay, so he gets the Miracle Fusion off. Where are we going with this? This doesn't use the Super Poly. 2 heroes, a wind and a fire. Okay, so it goes into Nova Master. That's annoying. We have to use the effect. Then... we always use Nightmare here. Drops the Super Poly. Okay. This plays around all my shit, so that means I'm just dead, right? So I can't use the effective Symbol Skeleton until Nightmare resolves, and by that point, I won't have Babble. Okay, this worked out pretty good. He's got 2 crappy cards on the field. What was the name of the motorbikes used in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds? D-Wheelers? Talking about the D-Wheelers, my friend. I mean, we just win, right? Summon out Dog. Dog effect. Grab Sabers. Send Sabers. Use the effective Toy Vendor. Grab Sheep. Special out Sheep. How many do we have in Graveyard? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I don't need FLUFFAL Sheep. We'll put this back in hand. Bring this back. I mean, yeah, sure, we'll just make this. Summon out Brute Enforcer. Activate Brute Enforcer. Get rid of this. Put this back in deck. Activate Orcus Nightmare. Send this to grave. Go 1 plus 2. Oh, I should have put it there. Oh, it doesn't really matter. We're going to fuse over it anyway. Go 1, 2, 3. Summon out the man, the myth, the tiger. The effective tiger. Pop this. And then, yeah, sure, we'll pop that as well. Use the effective Toy Vendor. Grab out Wings. And then go to battle. Swing and swing. Dual Runner is something. Thank God the new Rush box is a mini. I've been very negligent with my farming because it's boring AF. I mean, yeah, I think it depends, right? Because my farming routine is I will just turn on app, auto duel 4 times, or 5 or 6 times, depending how long it is. And on PC specifically, it goes through very, very quickly. So it doesn't take that long to do. And then when it comes to like farming ranked, I think that's really, really fun. When we're talking about farming legendary duelists, that is obviously just terrible. That is boring as heck. Nobody can be asked with that. Right, got an hour-long meeting. Have fun. Thanks for dropping by, Krusty. Hopefully we will see you next time. Well, Mike Cry didn't want to play. That's what I mean, yeah. Dueling, that is extremely tedious. Extremely tedious. Too much PvE for a card game. That's the thing. I don't understand why we can't just auto-duel the gate, right? Just let me auto-duel against everything. Like, why? Like, don't auto-duel ranked, right? Don't auto-duel PvP, but all PvE should be auto-duelable. I don't understand why it isn't. What is this hand? Oh my god. Okay. Right, we have no choice but to activate Toy Vendor. And then hard discard Nightmare. Okay, that does stuff. So now we can drop this down. We need a normal summon off this. We activate Nightmare. Boost this. Then we send Harp. We activate Harp. Get out Skeleton. We go Galatea. Galatea effect. Pop this back. Go for Babble. We link these into Mongirsu. Use the effect of Simple Skeleton. Summon out Galatea. Suppose now's as good a time as any to use Wings. Use the effect of Toy Vendor. We'll grab Shape. We'll use Edge and Persist. We will just straight away send Sabers and Chain to Grave. Then we will overlay into Dingirsu. We will then attach the skeleton. We'll flip this over and pass. Alright. Besides, I already play too many gacha games. See, that is the issue. Trying to play even more than one gacha game at a time is a nightmare. Like, I just do not have the time for that, right? Why are you activating Lightning Vortex, bro? That ain't gonna work. You got another one? Yeah, I was playing Honkai Star Rail for a bit, and I could not keep up with that. No, that's fine. You can destroy that. I'll allow it. You can have your breaker. There is the bear. Go ahead and activate bear. Have you got anything for me, friend? Honk Eye, exactly. It's got treacherous. Poor guy. This guy doesn't know what he's in for. We set this, and then we just win, right? I think we just don't overthink this. We just fight for a fusion. We'll go for Wolf. Summon out Wolf. And we'll just attack. Go Wolf! Go Wolf again! Yeah, I never got into Genshin. I never played it when it first came out, but I jumped on Honkai because I've always been a big JRPG guy. Like, I love me turn-based games. I mean, you know, card games are just turn-based games, aren't they? So, as soon as they dropped the old Honkai, I was like, yeah. We go again. Yeah, well, for me, card games have always been my absolute favorite genre, so I'll always, like, prioritize them. And right now, Rush Duel, for, like, the last couple of years, probably, has been just my favorite card game. It's just so much fun. And obviously, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, you know, speed duels are also really enjoyable. As you can see. Why do I keep opening these hands? This is really awkward. I've got my 2 searchables, which I really don't need. What does this hand do right now? Right now, I can summon 2 monsters and then link into something that's not an Orcust. That's not ideal. Right, Live Twin home. Live Twins is also a bit annoying. So he discards Veiler. Does that mean he's got another Veiler in hand? If he's getting rid of that. Vanguard Zero is my fave card game to play, and I want it back. Mate, Vanguard Zero, when it came out, right? Initial Vanguard Zero. So, like, pre-G era. Because G era cards like Vanguard was... Like, they messed up their monetization scheme so hard. But pre-G, I absolutely loved it. I loved every single format as well. Because when the anime and the physical card game went to Legion, I fell off it really hard. But Legion in Vanguard Zero was so much fun. My Duel Links account is one made close to the ones for Rush, so I can't afford to play speed. Yeah, I kind of feel the same with my... Because I have a second account as well, which I have played on stream a few times, but it's not easy for that deck to compete in speed. It does help that I started building Orcust quite a long time ago, so this deck that we're playing right now, like, we already had all the FLUFFAL stuff, because we obviously got that back in Arc 5 when that was, like, new. But we've been collecting the Orcust stuff for a while, so finishing off this deck did not cost that much, which is quite nice. Okay, so now you link into blue, right? So here's blue. And this will get you pink, which will get you a draw. Okay. Now he's using a secret password. You can add a live twin or evil twin spell card from your deck to your hand. If you control a monster, you can add 1 evil twin monster from your deck to your hand. Okay. So you've got this trap card now. If your opponent controls a kill-to-kill monster, no, if you control activate with effect, target 1, control 1 monster your opponent controls, switch control of those monsters. Okay. Okay. So this is where things are going to get a little bit awkward for us. We're still not, like, super versed in the older live twin matchup. Okay, so he now has access to a quick effect pop. Right. We always edge and persist. We send. We send. Well, then go ahead and use bear. This is our choke point, though. This is where we get messed up. because he could send this card back. Right, he didn't, so we're good to go. Right, we summon wings. We'll then use the effect of Nightmare. Boost wings. Then we'll send Heart Horror to grave. Activate the effect of Heart Horror. Summon out Skeleton. So how do we want to play around this? He has a quick effect pop, and he can swap control of monsters. So I need to force out the back row first. This is useless to me. The main issue is I don't want to use this up. I think I have to... There's no good way for me to do what I need to do. I need to get this off the field. I don't want to discard a card to do so. I have to use these two to go into Phoenix, discard that to get rid of that, and then I get murked. There's no way for me to just draw a card. I guess we'll just go for this now. We'll go into Galatea. We'll activate wings. And we can use Toy Vendor. Search Dog. Normal dog. Can't special sheep. But what we can do... We've locked ourselves into dark is the main issue we're having right now. I need to get him into graveyard. I think here we do just overlay. We need to force out his stuff. Okay, that went easier than expected. Now where do we want to go? I mean, I could link into that. That doesn't seem worth it. So I think it's got to be Brute Enforcer. We'll go 1, 2. Summon out Brute. Activate Brute. Target this, get a card out of his hand. We'll drop Frightfire Fusion. Does it make a difference? If he's just going to have a pop anyway, I think we just take Wolf. And drop Babel. I'm confused. Did he not have a thing? Couldn't he use the effect to... You're in the main phase, so couldn't he have used the other one to... Or did he need to not have pink? No, he needed to not have blue to bring back blue, right? Yeah. So he could have just brought out a blue and had a monster pop, but he just chose not to. I guess because he realized he made a mistake when he didn't swap control with the Dingirsu. Because what he should have done is used his trap, swapped Dingirsu for his pink, then he has a guy that has a monster pop protection that's also my biggest guy, and then I lose my monster pop protection. That's what I was trying to force out, but he just never did it. Have you lost to the timer yet? Not today. Came very close, but no, unless I missed the game. We've lost one game today, and that was to the weird Nephthys deck that we just didn't know how to play against this deck at all. I was just like, I don't know how to navigate this. I'm just kind of shooting in the dark. That's the only time we've lost today. Those Frightfur cards make me think of FNAF. Yes, they do kind of have that kind of aesthetic, don't they? The Frightfur cards in general are just really, really cool. They're a bit weird, obviously. But I really like them in the show when it shows them, like, fusing into the different monsters. Like, because it's like the scissors and the blades and stuff get inside of like a stuffed animal. I think it's just an aesthetic I'm very fond of. Alright. What on earth is this hand, though? So, Toy Vendor, discard Toy Vendor, get Dog, summon Dog. Then what? There's just nothing after that. Toy Vendor, discard Toy Vendor, search Sheet. No, search Wings. Summon Wings. Okay, I think that's the line. We'll start by activating Edge of Persist. We send this, we send this. Activate Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor effect. Oh, that can't be the line because... No, now it can be the line again. There's no reason to take Dog here. Dog just doesn't get us anything. Normal summon this. Link into Bird. Bird effect. Target a back row. Activate Wings. I mean, Bear doesn't do anything. I guess we just searched other dog. Use Saber's effect. I can go into Decode, but like, what does that get me? I can't use this because I used the other thing. That was a bit of a misplay. I think we just go battle here. That's all we do. Realistically, I think the play was to not use wings. So wings had a good chance of getting us into really playable cards, but we didn't find any, so it didn't do anything. If wings had got us into playable, we were great, but otherwise we could have just dropped Fright Fur Fusion and popped his 2 cards. Now, if this back row is a chainable, like if it's a Book of Moon or something, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But we could have gone into Tiger. Unfortunately, we opened just a god-awful hand and just had to just make do with what we had. Okay. Master of Eyes of Blue. Takes Whitestone Legends back to hand. Then we're going to probably Synchro. Azure Ice Silver Dragon. So this is the one that can send itself. Could be targeted or destroyed by card effects until the end of the next turn. Once per turn during your stamina phase, you can target one monster. Right, so if this card is special summoned, Dragon-type monsters you currently control cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects until the end of the next turn. So this cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Now, is this Blue Eyes affected by that or not? I don't think it should be, but it's a weird one. Can't target it. Dingirsu doesn't target. Right, we're going to summon... We're going to summon Skeleton. I'm going to use Sabers. I'm going to link into Galatea. We're going to go straight in to Dingirsu. We're going to send I actually think we send the back row. Okay, that's good. We'll go to battle and we will just attack over this. Okay, so he can make another guy. We do have built-in protection for a turn. And we do have Symbol Skeleton Engrave, which means we can bring back Dingirsu. We get to summon out of Blue Eyes. Okay. I mean, this is kind of fine for us. 2 vanilla Blue Eyes is really not the end of the world. We activate our effect. Then we lose Dingirsu. I assume this will trigger Whitestone of Ancients. To get my Blue Eyes monster back to his hand. Oh, it comes out to the field. Okay, that's fine. So we'll summon Dog. Use Dog. We can take Bear. Bear unfortunately doesn't do anything for us here. There's no point in linking, right? No, there kind of is a point in linking. Okay, we'll activate the effect of Sabers. Pop you back on top. We'll go into Brute. Activate the effect of Brute. Send this. We'll target the nice looking blue eyes. Then, we'll activate Frightful Fusion. Go for Tiger. We're going 1, 2, 3. Summon out Tiger. Use the effect of Tiger. Pop that. And pop that. Then we will activate the effect of Orcus Symbol Skeleton. Bring back Dingirsu. Attach Symbol Skeleton back. Go to battle. And then just end it. He would have won if he had the Galaxy-sized package. I mean, yeah, but the flip side to that is that we opened the worst hand possible and ended our turn on Nightmare Phoenix and Defense Mode Sabers. So most decks should have been able to kill us through that. There it is. We have made Platinum. Sure, we'll post that. Why not? Why not post that? Oh, and I think that is probably going to do it for today. We had a really good stream today. We climbed all the way up into Platinum, which was really, really fun. We got to jam a bunch of Orcus FLUFFAL games, which we love. Who does not love playing Orcus FLUFFAL? It is the best deck in the game. Even if it's not winning all the tournaments, it's not the best ladder deck, it's still just the best deck, right? That's just how that works. So we have a couple of days until the Roa character and the new box for Rushdoll get released. So we will not be streaming on Thursday. So big thing, not streaming on Thursday. We are streaming on Friday this week so we can play with all the new stuff. We will be jamming a crap ton of Rush on Friday, which I am very much looking forward to, and I hope a lot of you can make it. The other thing I should probably plug is the old YouTube. If anyone wants to head over there and give us a sub, we are actually extremely close now to 1,000 subscribers. We're only 4 away from reaching that 1,000 milestone, which would be fantastic. It'd be great to hit it, especially with the new box right around the corner. So again, same time, but on Friday, we will be streaming, and I hope to see some of you there. See you next time.